have a seat on the witness stand. Please tell us your first and last name.
Claire Benman.
And please spell both of those names.
ClareBennamon.
Thank you.
Good morning. I want to show you the photograph right in front of you, People's Exhibit number 1. Who is shown in this photograph?
Anna.
Can you describe your relationship with Anna?
Anna's my friend.
How long have you been friends?
For about, I would say, 2 years.
Where did you meet Anna?
San Diego.
And who was Anna married to?
Ali.
Do you see him in court today?
Yes.
Can you point out where he's sitting and describe articles of clothing he's currently wearing?
He's to the left and he's wearing a black suit.
May the record reflect identification of the defendant?
Yes.
Thank you. Did you have a close friendship with Anna?
Yes.
And did they have a child together, Anna and the defendant?
Yes.
What's her name, first name?
Jamira.
Were you close with her?
Yes.
Did you have the occasion to hang out with Anna and the defendant together in San Diego on a number of occasions?
Yes.
Can you describe how the defendant would treat Anna?
Can you elaborate a little bit more?
Can you describe how the defendant would treat Anna
During which time frame?
during the times that you were together with them? What was the nature of the way he treated her, either what you saw physically or emotionally?
Yeah, so the first, I would say, timeline that, we've met, it was just a normal couple. And then as I get to know them a little bit more, it progressed and I found some times where he would control Anna and would say some remarks to more degrade her in a way in front of her friends and also her daughter. So progressively, it also went into the fact that when she moved to me in my house, there were some instances where I would see that Anna would have bruises around her face.
Okay. You said that the defendant would control Anna. What do you mean by that?
He would just tell Anna what, in simple things like what to wear, where to go to, who to be around with, every little things, I would say.
Who would the defendant tell Anna not to be around?
I do not remember, but it's just different people.
Would it be males?
Yes.
And did the defendant tell Anna any specific males not to be around?
I do not recall.
When you said that the defendant would degrade Anna in front of Amira or her friends, what do you mean by that?
So he would say something about her looks.
Sorry?
Her looks.
Okay.
And something about no one's gonna like you. So those are the instances that I recall.
And what do you mean by her looks? What would the
That
defendant say?
he would call her ugly or something like that.
Is that upsetting to Anna?
I believe so.
What, if anything, did Anna tell you about the defendant being violent with her?
They have had histories. She did not share specific instances, but she did share that Ali would hit her around Amira. So those are some of the things that she's mentioned. mentioned previous behaviors. And then when she did transition to live with me on and off, I saw the results of that. Whenever Anna would call me to pick her up, I would see the marks on her face.
You said that Anna told you that the defendant would hit her around a mirror. Do you remember what time frame that conversation was?
I don't remember.
Did Anna tell you how often the defendant would hit her in front of a mirror?
He said very often, but she would always give him a chance.
What do you mean? What did Anna say about giving him a chance?
She wouldn't say, so basically what she meant by that is she would give Ali a chance because she loved Ali and she basically focused on her family. So she wouldn't say it around other people or even share it with other people.
These conversations that you had with Anna, were they in 2021?
I believe so.
Okay. Or any time earlier?
I would say around 2021.
And when Anna told you that the defendant would hit her, was she specific in where on her body the defendant would hit her?
Face, or sometimes he would, maybe the arms, and then he would also grab her.
Was this one conversation you had with Anna about the defendant hitting her, or more than one?
No, there were multiple conversations too.
And did Anna tell you that the defendant would cause her injuries when he would hit her?
Yes.
What types?
Bruises and marks.
When was the first time you saw any injuries on Anna from the defendant?
It was around, I would say around September 2021.
And can you describe what you saw?
She had a bruise and also like a scrape on her left cheek.
Did Anna tell you how she got those injuries?
Yes.
How?
So they went to Convoy, had dinner, Ali and Anna, and for some reason something happened throughout the conversation that caused Ali to be violent and grabbed her belongings, her purse, her ID, and also her gate pass. And then for some reason, Ali just got furious for some reason and hit Anna on her left cheek.
Did Anna tell you it was a punch or slap?
I believe it was a punch, if I recall correctly.
Did Anna tell you whether or not a mirror was present?
Yes, she was in the back of the vehicle when everything happened.
Okay, and did Anna tell you specifically where the defendant, where they were when the defendant hit her? Meaning, were they inside, outside?
I believe they all went to the car, so it happened inside the vehicle.
And when did Anna call you after that incident?
She called me immediately after and she was crying.
So did Anna tell you on the phone what had happened?
She just shared with me that Ali got really upset and then took everything from her and then punched her, but she didn't explain to me what the reason was.
And then did you see her shortly after that incident?
Yes,
Where did you see her?
outside of the base.
So in September of 2021, where were you living?
I lived in Marine Corps Base.
And had you been living there for some time?
Yes.
When did Anna start living with you?
I do not recall the exact month.
Approximate month?
Maybe around September.
So September 2021, could be earlier, could be
It
later?
could be earlier.
Okay, oh, could be earlier.
Yes, it's been on and off because when she transitioned to my home, she would also try to go back with Ali and would give him a chance. And so, yeah.
Before Anna started living with you, were there times where she would come stay with you because of something that happened with the defendant and then go back to him?
No.
Alright, so around September of 2021, Anna would start coming to stay with you. So would she move her items into your home and then move them all back to her apartment, or how would that work?
Yes, ma'am, that would be the case. Yeah.
And when Anna moved in with you, did Amir also move in with you?
Yes, ma'am.
How many times would you say that Anna came to your home with bags or suitcases and then moved back to the apartment with the defendant?
I would say about three times.
And were those times all in September?
I do not recall, but the beginning, yes, I would say around September.
Okay, so the beginning of September is when Anna would come to your home with suitcases and then move back to the apartment and then come back to you. Is that yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and so that time you're talking about where Anna told you about the defendant hitting her at a dinner on Convoy, was that in the earlier portion of September?
I do not
Or-
remember. I don't remember the exact timeline.
When Anna would first come to stay with you and then move back to the apartment, what did she tell you about why she was staying with you?
That Ali became very abusive and she could no longer take it.
What was her demeanor like when she told you these things?
She was sad, crying. She was sad.
Okay, and then when Anna would move back in with the defendant, what would she tell you was her reason for that?
She wants to give Ali a chance.
And so the next time that Anna would come back to stay with you, did she tell you anything different about why she returned?
Yes, so I remember this instance where we were at Starbucks where Ali picked her up from, and she told me that she's going to stay there because she wants to give Ali a chance. And then the day after that, she called me crying, and she said that Ali confessed to her that he brought another girl to the condo, and may have she shared with me that they tried to do some stuff at the apartment, which made Anna very mad or furious.
What do you mean, what stuff?
They tried to have sex.
And how did Anna feel about that?
Anna was really sad. She was sad and also furious because she had hoped that giving him a chance would, perhaps fix it, but finding this out, it really made her sad about it.
And after that point, did Anna go back to living with the defendant at the apartment? Or was she living with you?
She lived with me.
Okay, so there was a time in September of 2021 where Anna and Amir came to your home and stayed with you for, was it a month?
Yes, ma'am.
So September into October, before she moved back to the apartment.
When you say move back, we moved back.
So was there a time, to your knowledge, where, so Anna was living with you, fire with Amira.
Yes,
And is that because the defendant moved out?
yes,
So on October, was it 18th, did Anna move all of her belongings and Amira's from your home back to the Spire apartment?
yes, ma'am.
The night that you were telling us about where Anna called you crying and said that the defendant had hit her on Convoy Street, did you meet up with her that night?
Yes,
Why?
because she's not able to get on base because Ollie took everything, including the pants.
So did you have to meet with her in order to escort her and Amira onto the base?
Yes, ma'am. So after that time where Anna told you about being hurt at dinner, were there any other times where Anna either called you or told you in person that the defendant had been violent with her? No, ma'am.
So any time after that, in September when she was fully living with you, were there any times that she told you that the defendant was violent with her?
Not that I recall.
Did Anna tell you whether or not she was scared of the defendant?
Oh, yes,
She did tell you that.
yes, ma'am.
On how many occasions?
A couple of times.
What was she saying?
She's just basically really scared about Ollie and her citizenship. That was her main concern. Also about Amira. Not having perhaps the presence of, the father figure. So she shared those with me.
What do you mean she was scared in regards to her citizenship?
She was scared because Ollie would always threaten Anna that he would take her citizenship because she's just a Filipino immigrant here in the United States.
Were you aware that the defendant helped her get a visa to come to the United States?
Yes.
So when you say the defendant would threaten her visa, is that what you mean? That he would threaten to try to get it revoked?
Exactly, yes.
You said that Anna told you about the defendant bringing another woman into the apartment and something sexual happened between them. Were you present when Anna made any phone calls to that woman?
No, ma'am, I was not.
So Anna just told you about conversations she had with that woman
Yes.
and the defendant.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever have any conversations with the defendant about how he treated Anna?
No.
Did you ever receive any live posts that the defendant would make discussing any violence on Anna or anything like that?
I saw an instance where he went on live and tried to talk bad about Anna. And I think there was if I recall correctly, there's also a mention about her citizenship. And I believe, if I recall correctly, I also sent a message when that live stream was happening to call me just to kind of help with the situation. But that's my recollection of that.
Okay. You sent a message to Anna?
To Ali, because he's the one who's doing the live stream.
Did you view this while it was actually live streaming?
Yes.
So you said you sent a message to the defendant for him to contact you?
I'm not sure if it would be like a message, but if you go on live stream at the bottom of that, there's a send a message. So I'm not sure where it actually goes to.
And were you, did Anna tell you about any violent incidences that had happened right before the defendant made that live stream?
No, ma'am.
When Anna was living with you, were you present when the defendant would call her or message her?
Yes.
And what was Anna's demeanor like?
She was very concerned. There are times when I would wake up at 5 a.m. to get my kids up, and she would talk to Ali, and she would try to help you with money, and she would try to be there for you. She's sitting on my stairs all the time, or like outside my room. And she would try to talk to Ali, either to calm him down or just be there for him. I remember waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning to get my kids up, and she's not sleeping yet. And her kid is in my other kid's room. Sorry. It's okay.
Were your kids closer to her?
Yes.
So, during the time that Anna was living with you, she was separated from the defendant, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And were there many times where the defendant would call Anna and continue to try to talk to her and get back together with her?
Yes, ma'am.
And so did you hear Anna talking with the defendant and telling him certain things about the status of their marriage?
Can you rephrase the question?
Were there times where you would hear Anna talking with the defendant about the status of their marriage?
Yes.
Meaning they were separated.
Yes.
And did Anna tell the defendant that she didn't want to be with him?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said that there were many times where the defendant would call Anna and she would try to calm him down.
Yes.
Were there times where the defendant would come over to your home to try to speak with Anna?
Not to my home, because I was already scared of the situation. So we would meet at like nearby, so like Starbucks inside the base, but not exactly in my house.
And why were you scared?
Because I didn't want to get involved, because my kids were, always present and leave the house, and he has this behavior that is unpredictable.
Right, thank you.
Good morning. Give me a minute, let you get some water. Good morning. You knew Anna for 2 years, so you didn't meet her until she moved to San Diego?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were friends with sort of the friend group like Julia, Diana, those group of women?
Yes, ma'am, for the later part of that.
Okay, so you were introduced to Anna through whom?
Through Junko and Julia.
So Juco is Alicia Juco, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was a friend in that friend group also?
Yes.
And you were present at a birthday party at Harris Casino for
No, ma'am.
Okay, you were not at that birthday party.
No.
So you said you met Anna through Alicia, Juco, and Julia, is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
And you lived on base during the entire time that you knew Anna and Ali, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And Ali knew where you lived, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
He worked on the same base?
No, ma'am. I'm not sure where he worked.
He had been to your home a few times on base, is that right?
I would recall maybe once. Yeah.
So he knew where you lived.
Yes, ma'am.
During the time that Anna was staying with you from August, September, October time, prior to moving back into the residence, Ali never attempted to come to your house to see Anna, correct?
To my house.
Right.
I'm not sure what conversation Ali and Anna has had, if Ali asked Anna to come to my house, but every time Anna would ask me if Ali can come on base to see them, I would say not in my house and we can meet somewhere else.
Okay, so let me back up just a little bit. Ali never just showed up at your residence, right?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And he knew where you lived. He'd been to your home before.
Yes.
Okay. And during the time that Anna stayed with you, whether you had talked to Anna or not about Ali coming over, Ali never just appeared at your home, correct?
No, ma'am.
When you were asked about Ali and Anna's relationship, you said that they were a normal couple at first. What did you mean by that?
They just look like a normal couple. Just a normal couple. Like there's no insinuations or of anything else.
And when you say at first, you're referring to when you first met them in San Diego?
Yes, ma'am.
And so your initial interactions with them, they seemed to be like everything was fine, right?
Yes.
And you are aware that at some point, after Ali's introduction to this group of people through Anna, he began to use cocaine.
I have never met Ali before, so I'm not sure when he was introduced to the cocaine.
You knew Ali to use cocaine when he was with this friend group, correct?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. Ali used cocaine with your friend group, right?
Yes.
And so did Anna,
Yes.
and so did you.
No.
And it was during the time that Ali and Anna were using cocaine with this group that you noticed that things about him began to change, correct?
From the point of when I met them, is that what you're referring to? Yes.
Yes. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you're talking about that Ali didn't want Anna to be around males, he didn't want Anna to be around Ray. Is that correct?
No, it was mostly males in general.
Okay. Are you aware that Ali and Ray had some sort of issue going on in their sort of relationship?
No, ma'am.
Anna never told you about that?
Well, she told me that Ali didn't like Ray, but I was not aware of any altercations between the two of them.
Okay, so you knew from your conversations with Anna that Ali did not like Ray. Is that right?
Yes.
And did you know what the issue was between the two of them?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever ask Anna, what's the beef? Why do they not get along?
No, ma'am.
Why not?
Because I didn't ask, I wasn't interested. Ali just, because like there's times that Ali just don't want other male around Anna, so I would have just assumed that it would be different. It would be the same.
You were aware that Anna and Ray were having an affair, right?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. Do you remember having a conversation with Anna where Anna was nervous about telling Julia about her affair with Ray?
No, so that's the time when Anna shared it with me that they were just friends. And she was afraid to tell Julia that they started being talking on social media.
Okay, so Anna told you, I'm friends with Ray, and Julia is going to be nervous about that or unhappy about that?
No, not unhappy. She wants to tell Julia, but she doesn't know how to say it.
So Anna was nervous about telling Julia that she and Ray were friends on social media?
That they're talking on social media.
Okay. Why, if you know, did Anna tell you why she was nervous about telling Julia that?
Because Julia and Ray were used to be together, I believe.
Okay. So Anna didn't tell you that she was together romantically with Ray?
No, ma'am. So every time she would share it with me, she would just say that they were friends. That's the only phrase that she's used, we're just friends.
Okay, so then there were things that Anna was keeping from you. For instance, that relationship with Ray.
She didn't share it with me as far as if they did have a relationship, but I just knew that they were friends.
Okay. And you never saw the text messages that Anna sent to Ali during the time that Anna was living with you, right?
What kind of text messages?
Any text messages.
No, ma'am.
So when you're listening to Anna on the phone as she's sitting at your house, you are hearing basically one side of a conversation, right? From Anna to Ali.
Yes, ma'am.
So you are not aware of other times that Anna may have spoken to Ali on the phone about their relationship?
Can you rephrase the question?
Sure. You were hearing, when you described for us a few minutes ago about hearing Anna on the phone with Ali, you said that she was trying to help him with money, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And she was trying to be there for him,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that she was talking about the marriage with him, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You were not with Anna every minute of every day, correct?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so it's possible that there were phone conversations between Anna and Ali that you did not know about, right?
Exactly.
And that you did not hear.
Yes.
Okay. And so you don't know everything that was said between Anna and Ali during the time that she was living with you, right?
Yes.
You described that Ali had unpredictable behavior. That was something that you noted sort of as during the months of August, September, October, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And this was also time that Anna was talking to you, living with you, telling you about Ali's drug addiction.
Yes.
Okay. And about sort of his behaviors, that he was acting crazy, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And that he was different than the person she used to know, right?
No, ma'am. So just to rephrase that, she's mentioned to me that Ali has been doing that in the past, but progressively became, really violent towards her. But she's been in circumstances where Ali would hit her already in the past, and she shared with me some of the incidents that happened in Virginia.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. You gave an interview to a district attorney investigator, right? Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were asked about instances of previous domestic violence, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you told that investigator about this incident on Conway Street, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You did not tell that investigator anything about other instances in Virginia, did you?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And you knew when you were speaking with that investigator that he wanted to know from you everything you knew about the relationship between Anna and Ali, correct?
That's correct.
And you would agree that that would have been the time to mention everything that Anna supposedly told you about what happened in Virginia, right?
That would be the best time, yes. But also my recollection of everything was sporadic. This was a very traumatic event for me. So there's not a lot of things there's things that I recall, but there might be things that I would miss.
Okay, did you ever, when you realized that you missed these things, did you ever get back in touch with that district attorney investigator?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you realized there were things you missed and you just didn't ever follow up with anybody about it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you spoke with that district attorney investigator on January 31st of 2022?
Yes, ma'am.
So a few months after the incident, the shooting, is that right?
I believe so.
This relationship between Ali and Anna in the months of August, September, October, when Anna was staying with you, you described it as that they were back and forth, right?
Yes, that's correct.
So Anna would come and stay with you, and then she would return to Ali and then come back. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And that happened throughout those few months that she stayed with you.
Yes, ma'am.
You testified that after Anna learned about, I think you said Ali confessed about having another woman in the apartment, that Anna never returned to live in the apartment. Do you remember saying that? Until like later in October.
Yes, ma'am.
But you are not aware of conversations that occurred between Anna and Ali even after that day where she learned about Ashley Sanchez, right?
Are you asking for specific conversations?
Yes.
There might be some instances where she would share with me what's going on with their relationship, but not specifically recall everything.
Did she tell you that she had told Ali that he was going to always be her person?
No, ma'am.
Did she tell you that she told Ali that she would always love him?
No, ma'am.
And did she tell you that she told Ali that to fix the marriage, he would have to show her through his actions?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any other questions?
Yes, thank you. You mentioned that Anna was telling you about violence that occurred in Virginia. What did she tell you?
That Ali was already violent when they were living in Virginia. There was a time where things got really bad, and I believe she drove all the way to see Julia in Ohio, I believe. I do not recall. That was what she shared with me.
Did Anna tell you specifically about how the defendant was violent with her in Virginia?
Yes, he would hit Anna, and yeah.
There was just some like weird moments that kind of like that I thought about later that made me realize it was weird. Like when I showered, he wanted me to use a specific body wash, and I was like, okay. And then I hit me later. I was like, oh, that was definitely like her body wash. I thought that was really weird.
Why did you say it was her body, the wife's body?
Cause I'm like, it was like some like brown sugar coconut. I don't know. It was a girly little body wash, and I was like, that's definitely not his. At least I don't think it was. And his insistence on me using that one, he was like, oh, this one's really good. Like you should use this one. And I was like, okay, sure.
But the defendant didn't say it was his body wash.
No, he didn't say it was his body wash. I just assumed. This is an assumption. He kept showing me his TikToks, and I was like, what? Like, because it was just funny to me. He spent a lot of time talking about him.
About who?
His TikToks.
Do you recall how soon after the incident or the sex with the defendant that the defendant started text messaging you?
Like for this, like when he was trying to get me to talk to his wife, or which situation?
Well, the first time.
Oh, yeah.
How soon after? So you left the apartment. Are we now into September 16th? Like when you left the apartment, are we in the wee hours of September 16th?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So after you leave the apartment, how soon does the defendant start sending you text messages?
I think I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember too well. I think because I went straight to bed after that. But like throughout that week was when he was texting me.
Okay. And was it he was text messaging you every day or not?
I think he did it for a few days. I'm not sure. There was one day where he was specifically like when he was calling me and stuff. That was like the day where I was like getting really upset that he was contacting me excessively.
So when the defendant was sending you text messages, what was he saying?
He was asking me to hang out, to come see him, or like to go if I wanted to go out and get food or something. And then, yeah.
What was your response when the defendant was asking you to hang out?
No.
And what about to go out with him for food?
No.
What was the defendant's response to you saying no?
He tried calling me and then asked me to like hear the sincerity in his voice, and I told him I had no interest.
When the defendant was asking you to hear the sincerity in his voice, what is it that he was saying to you?
I think he just wanted me. I don't know. I didn't know what that meant. I think he was just trying to show that like he genuinely wanted to hang out with me or something, but I didn't really care.
There was no other context to the conversation that he was talking about.
Not that I remember.
All right, and so you said that you would tell him you didn't want to hang out with him or go out to eat, and then he would call you. What would he say in the phone calls?
I didn't really answer them.
And the rest of the week that he was sending you the text messages, what else would he say in those messages?
That's as much as I really remember.
And then the time you said he called you about 4 times, did you answer once or more than once?
I don't think I answered at all. I'm pretty sure.
Right, and did the defendant have any conversation with you about whether or not you should tell his wife about the sex between the two of you?
Yeah, that was like later, like I don't know if it was like weeks or like a month later. It was like closer to when everything kind of blew up.
When what blew up?
Like when what happened. Like it was definitely not that same week that he called me about it, but it was like maybe like 2, 3 weeks after it happened, or like the week after that.
Okay, you're just giving us your best guess.
Yeah.
It's hard to remember specific dates.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so between the time that the defendant was sending you text messages about hanging out to the time that he called you a couple weeks later, was there any other contact by him to you?
I think so. No.
And besides him asking you about to hang out with him, was that the gist of the messages that he would send in the phone calls?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, a couple weeks later, when he calls you on the phone, you had a conversation with him.
Yes.
Okay, what did he say to you?
He was telling me that his wife found out and was asking, like, if hypothetically, if she were to call me, like, would I lie for him? And telling me not to, like, what am I gonna say? And he was just freaking out, like, he was talking really fast and just being like, she found out, and was just, yeah, pressing me.
Did the defendant tell you how his wife found out?
No.
So, is this how the defendant starts the conversation? He calls you, you pick up, and he immediately starts telling you that his wife found out?
I think he was texting me before that because I wasn't really answering, and then he was telling me in text that she found out, and then I answered the call, and then he was telling me again through call.
Okay, so in the text messages, what do you remember him saying to you?
I remember him just telling me that, and then the rest of it happened through phone call. The rest of it was him just basically telling me that, like, she might call me, and if she calls me, like, what am I gonna say? And I was kind of like, well, this is not my problem. Like, I didn't know anything, so.
So when the defendant called you and asked if you would lie to his wife, what was he specifically telling you to say?
I think he was just trying to tell me not to tell her that we did anything at all.
And how did you feel about that?
I felt bad, but I was also kind of scared because he sounded really, like not aggressive, but just kind of like his voice was just very different. Like who I was talking to in that moment was like very different from who I was talking to when I first met him.
Okay, so you said his voice was aggressive?
Yeah, or he was just very panicked and was like, "You're gonna lie for me, right? You're gonna lie." And I was like, "Okay."
So when the defendant asked you to lie for him, what was your response?
I don't remember if I told him I would or not, but I was definitely like scared to. And then when she called me and I did ask the first time, I did withhold a lot of information.
Why were you scared to tell his wife?
He just sounded scary, and then like, I mean, from like that first time that I met him and stuff, after I had really like processed everything and remembered like those chunks of the night when like he would talk about his wife and like just kind of the way that he looked, like he just had a look on his face sometimes when he would get upset. It just like kind of all came back to me, and just from the way he was talking, I was like, I don't know what this man is capable of, and he sounds really aggressive, and he knows where I live, so I was really just nervous.
Okay, and so when you said that when you were with him physically on September 15th, you said he had a look that was scary to you?
Yeah, like when he would get like upset talking about how his wife would go partying with her friends and stuff, or like when he would talk about how he would do anything to keep his kid, like his demeanor was a little bit like it was just different, you know, like his eyes would get really big and he just would look a little scary.
Okay, so when the defendant called and asked you about lying to his wife, was there anything else he said that you can recall?
Not that I can remember now.
Anything else he told you to do?
I don't think so.
Did you end up speaking with his wife, Anna?
Yes.
How soon after that phone call from the defendant do you recall speaking with Anna?
I think it was like maybe like 10 minutes after.
Did Anna call you on your cell phone?
Yeah.
And had you had any contact with Anna prior to talking to her on the phone?
No.
Did she ever have your number?
No.
So somehow she was able to get your number and give you a call?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And when she called you, what did she say?
She was asking me like what happened, and she was like, "I need you to tell me what happened between you and Ali." And yeah, I just answered her, but I definitely did not tell her the full thing in the first call.
How did you know it was Anna, his wife, who you were talking to?
I think she told me in the beginning, and also because he just told me that she might call me, and then I get a call from like this number. I don't know. She had also texted me. I don't remember if she texted me before. Sorry. I don't remember if she texted me before or after she had called me, but yeah, she did text me too.
Okay. So when the defendant was calling you and texting you, telling you these things, did you want anything to do with him?
No.
Did you tell him that?
Yes.
Was he, after you told him you didn't want, did you use those words? Like, did you wanted nothing to do with him?
I
Or
think
how
I
did you word it
did.
to him?
I'm pretty sure I did, and I said it wasn't my problem, that he had to deal with it himself because this is his situation. I didn't want to be involved.
Okay. And then, so when you told the defendant that you wanted nothing to do with him, did he still keep contacting you?
I think this was when, like, the first week that he was texting me and stuff like that. He was still, that was when he was constantly texting me, and then I think he just backed off after that, and that's why we didn't really talk that much after, up until he called me to tell me that his wife found out.
Okay. And so when he started to text you and call you that his wife found out, did you still want anything to do with him?
No.
And did you tell him that?
Yes.
And did he still keep talking to you about his wife and what
Well,
you should
he
do?
was just telling, yeah, he called me that one time, and then she called me 10 minutes after, so it happened, like, all at once.
Okay, so the first time that you spoke with Anna over the phone, you said 10 minutes after the defendant called you. You said you didn't tell her the full truth during that call, right? Why did you not do that?
Because the way he was telling me to lie for him made me feel like, you know, if I don't lie, like something bad might happen.
What did you think would happen that was bad?
I don't know. I thought he could get violent. My mind kind of went everywhere because I mean, like, I don't know. I thought he could come to my apartment and try to confront me, or he could get mad at her. I just thought something would go wrong.
Okay, so what is it that you told Anna during that first conversation?
I don't remember. I think I just told her that he found me in the elevator and was trying to comfort me, and so I came over and we talked, and that he was being there for me, and that like I think that I told her that was all that happened.
Okay, so you did, during that first phone call, you didn't tell Anna anything that happened sexually between you and the defendant?
I don't think I did.
Or any touching or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't think I did. I think I withheld that.
Okay. And was there any other details from that first phone call from Anna?
Not that I can remember.
So you told Anna that the defendant was just comforting you and talking to you. And then what happened after that phone call?
There was like some time. I don't know how much time went by, but she was still texting me, and yeah, she called me again, or she asked me to call her again, but I was like not. I was driving at the time, so I called her a little bit later, and then we talked again, and that time I told her more of like what went down, that like he touched me and that we got like sexual.
Okay. So you said that you sent some text messages. I want to show you, it's right in front of you. It's People's Exhibit number 166. it's page 9. Can you read through these messages and then let me know if you recognize this series of text messages?
From the very beginning.
Yes, from the beginning to the end.
She said,
No, I'm sorry, not out loud, just to yourself.
"Oh, haha, okay."
Okay, do you recognize what's shown here in this exhibit, People's 167, page 9?
Yes,
Okay, what is this?
it's a text message between me and Anna.
Okay, so this was a series of text messages that you and Anna sent to each other after that first phone call? Okay. And you said you don't recall what date, it was just a couple weeks later,
Yeah.
right? All right, and so during these text messages with Anna, is she asking you to tell her what happened between you and Ali, the defendant?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is she asking you that because she wants closure?
Yeah.
Okay. And then are you starting to tell her some more details about what you and the defendant did?
Yes.
Okay. So in this text message, are you telling Anna that you and the defendant engaged in a massage and foreplay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you're saying the words, we didn't actually fuck, but you said you weren't telling her the full truth there. Okay. Did he give you a massage?
Yes.
Okay. And foreplay?
Yeah.
Okay. So did you start to tell Anna a little bit of the details, but not everything?
Yeah.
Okay. And then in your last text message, where you say, sorry, I wanted to say this the first time, but I was still scared.
Mm-hmm.
Were you telling her that you were scared of
Yeah.
the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. And you said, I don't know what he's capable of, and I didn't want him to get mad when he knows where I live.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then YK is that you know.
Yes.
So were you being truthful with her in why you were not giving her certain information?
Yes.
Okay. And besides this series of text messages, are there any other messages you recall, text messages between you and Anna?
I don't remember, no.
Right. And then did you have another conversation on the phone with Anna?
I'm not sure if we had another phone call or if we had it at that second call. I just know there was a point where I did like exchange like Instagrams with her, and like she was kind of talking to me like we were friends at one point in the text, I think.
Okay, so you said earlier that there was another conversation that you had with Anna where you gave her more details. Was that over the phone?
Yeah, that was over the phone.
Okay, so that's the conversation I want to focus on now. So what additional details did you give Anna during that second phone call?
I think that was the one that I was referring to in that text message. We're kind of just going over like, yeah, like he massaged me, and then I don't know if I actually told her we like had sex, because I don't know if I even really count that. Like it was kind of more like an attempt, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I just kind of reiterated what I said in that text.
Okay, so you didn't tell Anna about him having sex with you for those 3 minutes and any touching involved there. You didn't tell her those details.
I'm not sure if I did or not.
Okay. And why did you not tell her all of the details about what happened?
Because I was just nervous and I didn't really want to, like, I don't know, I didn't want to be a part of it, and I didn't think that it was necessary. I thought what I said was enough, hopefully, for what she needed to know was that at the end of the day he cheated, and that was, what she needed to hear.
Okay. And so did you go through with her all of the details about what he did or said like we're doing today in court?
No, I don't think I disclosed that much information.
And after you spoke with her on the second occasion, did you have any more phone conversations with her?
No, I don't think so.
What about in-person conversations?
No.
You had never met Anna?
No.
And then you said that did you exchange some social media messages?
Not messages, but we followed each other on Instagram.
Was she mad at you during your conversations?
She expressed being frustrated, but then she would correct herself and say, like, it's not, she knows it's not my fault, and that, she's sorry that I had to get dragged into all of it.
Okay. Did you tell Anna that you did not know the real status of their separation?
Yeah.
After you told Anna the details about what happened between you and the defendant, did Anna tell you that she wanted to leave the defendant?
Yeah.
What did she say?
She was just telling me that, like, they were already in the process of splitting, but this was what she needed to hear. And that she was gonna kick him out the apartment and leave him.
And what was your response to that?
I encouraged it. I was like, yeah, you go, girl. He sucks.
Did you have any other conversations with the defendant after that point?
A little bit. He just was asking me I think he asked me what I said. He was mostly mad that he saw we were following each other on Instagram. And he was like, so what, are you guys friends now? And he was just texting me and, like, all upset about the fact that I talked to her and that we were following each other.
Do you recall when that was?
It was like the same day, I think.
Did the defendant, after you spoke with Anna that day, did the defendant call you again?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Or send you any text messages?
No.
And did you have any other contact with Anna after those phone calls?
No, I don't think so.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Good afternoon, Ms. Sanchez. You think that you moved into the Spire apartment building on September 15th, is that right?
Yes.
And you were in the elevator that same day, having just finished your moving in?
Yeah.
And you were upset in the elevator,
Yes.
crying in the elevator,
Yeah.
and suddenly this other person was in the elevator with you. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And that's the person you've identified as Mr. Abulaban?
Yes.
And the two of you began talking in the elevator, right?
Yeah.
And you seem to have some sort of connection in that elevator, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
Because then you ended up going with this complete stranger to his apartment, right?
Yeah.
And you were in his apartment. The two of you were talking about your respective problems, right?
Yeah.
You were talking about having just had a big fight with your ex-boyfriend, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
And he was talking to you about the problems that he was having in his marriage with his wife, right?
Yes.
And he referred to her as his wife, right?
Not that I remember. He was saying it like my wife would just, like, walk out. He was saying, like, she left me.
Okay, but he said my wife, right?
Maybe, yeah, I think so.
Well, did he or didn't he?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, you were just asked a bunch of questions about what you understood about the real status of the separation of Ali and Anna the night that you slept, or maybe slept, with Ali, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
So what did you think the status of that separation was?
I just thought they were separated, and I thought that she was, like, out of the door already.
Okay, so you thought at the time that you agreed to have sex with him, that he was separated. Is that a yes?
Yes.
And so when he's talking to you, he's calling her his wife, but she just left me yesterday.
He didn't say that she left yesterday.
Okay, so he was just saying my wife then.
I think so. I don't know.
Okay. So you're having these conversations back and forth in the apartment. You're using cocaine. Is that a yes? He used cocaine.
Yes.
You're drinking wine.
Yes.
He's drinking wine.
Yes.
Everything about this encounter with him was completely consensual, correct?
Yes.
You wanted to be there.
Yes.
You chose to be there.
Yes.
And the two of you were talking in a way that appeared to be flirtatious and sexual in nature, right?
Yes.
And then you asked him, it seems like you want to have sex with me, right?
Yes.
And he said, sure, right?
He was saying that he was hinting that he wanted to have sex with me.
And when you asked him, hey, it seems like you want to have sex, he said yes, right?
Yes.
Everything up to this point was completely consensual between the two of you, complete strangers, right?
Yes.
You then said to him, oh, wait, I forgot, I'm on my period, right?
Yes.
And then you went in and he said, go ahead and take a shower, right?
Yes.
And then you did, right?
Yes.
And you came out fully naked from the shower, correct?
I don't think so, no.
And then he began to, the two of you began to be intimate, tried to have sex, right?
Yes.
And he got frustrated, like you testified on direct examination, right?
Yes.
And he got frustrated because he could not get an erection, correct?
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't keep it up, but yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's why he got frustrated with you, right?
Yes.
And so then you said, hey, you know what? Let's go upstairs to my apartment, right?
No.
And you got your dildo, your vibrator from upstairs, right?
I got my weed pen and my vibrator, yes.
And you brought it back downstairs to his apartment, correct?
Yes.
And you took him with you up to your apartment.
Yes.
So this person that you have described to us today that made you feel weird and gross and icky, you took him with you to your apartment, right?
Yes.
You came back to his apartment, and that's when he gave you a massage with your vibrator, correct?
Yes. I think so.
Well, is it or isn't it?
I don't know if you give him. Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Yes.
Right, he massaged you sexually with your vibrator, right?
Yes, I guess.
And then after that, you still hung out in his apartment, right?
Yes.
And you watched his TikTok videos, right?
Yes.
And you hung out with him for about 3 hours, correct?
Yes.
And then that was the end of it for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Yes.
that a yes?
Yes.
You didn't want to have anything more to do with him, correct?
Yes.
It was just a real quick, consensual, wham bam sort of, let's just have sex and be done with it, right?
Yes.
And then you returned to your apartment and he remained at his apartment, correct?
Yes.
Then the next day, you had given him your telephone number, right?
I don't remember if I gave him my telephone number the next day. I don't think I would have.
That was a bad question. You gave him your telephone number during the time period the two of you were in his apartment, correct?
Yes.
And then the next day, he used that telephone number to contact you, right?
Yes.
And he was texting you and asking you if you wanted to hang out and do anything together, right?
Yes.
But you didn't want to do that, right?
Yes.
Because you just wanted to try to have sex with him, right?
No.
That was
because
the-
he was weird.
But someone who you described as weird, you hung out with him for 3 hours.
I was also grieving, and I was 19.
Okay. And you hung out with him for 3 hours, right?
Objection asked and answered.
Yes.
And you took him to your apartment.
Yes.
Objection asked and answered.
You took him inside of your apartment.
Yes.
And you gave him your telephone number.
Yes.
You then went back with him to his apartment.
Yes.
And you showered in his apartment.
Yes.
You have a shower in your apartment, right?
Yes.
So the next day, he contacts you on the telephone number that you gave him, correct?
Yes.
And you told him you didn't want to hang out with him, right?
Yes. Yes.
And then you did not hear from him for the rest of what appeared to be maybe 3-4 days a week, correct?
Yes.
Until he contacted you again and said, my wife found out, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what are you going to say to her? What would you say to her? Those were the types of questions he was asking you, correct?
Yes, and he was also asking me to lie.
And he asked you to lie, right?
Yes.
And you did,
Yes.
right? And it wasn't until Anna said to you, hey, I just need to know for closure because he keeps telling me something happened to you guys, right? And then that's when you were honest with Anna, correct?
Yes.
After Ali was saying to Anna something happened between the two of you, right?
Yes.
You said that she texted you, correct?
Yes.
But Anna did not have your telephone number prior to your involvement with Ali, correct?
Yes.
So the only way that she would have gotten your number and your name was through Ali, right?
Yes.
So He gives the number, she contacts you, you then lie to her about what actually happened, right?
Yes.
She confronts you and says, hey, he's telling me that something happened between the two of you. What happened, right?
Yes.
And that's when you told her, hey, yeah, I'm not even going to cap at all. Cap at all means not lie, right?
Yeah.
And I pray Ali doesn't ever HMU, does that mean hit me up?
Yes.
Or get mad at me. But he did give me a massage
Yes.
and like did foreplay,
Yes.
but we didn't actually fuck, right?
Yes.
And you didn't have any other conversations with Anna after this text exchange, correct?
I'm not sure if that happened before or after the second phone call,
Okay.
and if we had more texts after that.
Well, did you, any other text that you would have had with Anna would have been on that same phone? That same phone number that you had?
Yes. Yeah.
And so you didn't text her later from a different telephone number or something like that,
No.
right?
No.
Okay. And you know that you had a phone call with her initially where you denied anything happened,
Yes.
right? And then she texted you.
Yes.
Was there another phone call that you had with her after that text?
I believe so. I know we had at least like 2 phone calls.
Okay. And that's when you say you told her the truth, and the truth being, he gave me a massage, we did like foreplay, but we didn't actually fuck, right?
Yes.
And that's because you didn't actually have sex with him in your mind, right?
Yes.
You tried, but he got frustrated because he couldn't hold an erection, correct?
Yes.
And when he got frustrated and he couldn't hold an erection, he kept talking to you about his wife, right?
Yes.
And he was referring to her as his wife.
I don't remember.
Well, that's what you said on direct examination. He got frustrated and kept talking about his wife.
Well, I'm calling his wife, because now I know that that was his wife. He referred to her as Anna most of the time.
And then you and Anna, after this exchange, became friends on Instagram.
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Any other questions?
So that's what I was gonna start asking you. When the defendant was talking to you, he was using the name Anna?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what you recall versus saying his wife.
Yes.
So most of the stories and the things he was telling you about her, he said, oh, Anna this or Anna that. Is that what you recall?
For most of it, yes.
And I know you said you had, the defendant gave you cocaine right, and wine, right?
Yes.
Did it affect your ability to recall anything that happened that night?
Yes, I was pretty off it. I mean, even without, prior to that, like, I was not mentally okay at all. I was probably like one of the worst days of my life.
I'm sorry to hear that, but you're able to recall everything that happened that night,
I
correct?
can recall some of it, yeah. Like, not like super nitty-gritty details, but like the gist of what happened.
Okay, and that's what you're testifying to today, correct?
Yes.
And you're testifying here truthfully today
Yes.
about what you can recall happening between the two of you?
Yes.
All right, and I know you said you were with the defendant consensually and you were hanging out with him for a few hours, right?
Yes.
Was it towards the end of your time with him that you started to realize certain things that made you said, feel gross?
Yes.
So it wasn't the whole time you were with him that you felt that way?
Yeah, for like the first, like, maybe like half an hour, I was like, oh, like, this is nice. That was, yeah, I didn't think anything too crazy. It was just kind of like little details that would come up. And then towards the end, I was like, all right, none of this feels as good as it felt when I first met him.
Okay. And then once you left, did you start to then realize more things about your interaction with him and the things he said and how he
Yes.
acted?
Yes.
Okay. Did you feel like the defendant took advantage of you?
Yes.
Why?
Because he caught me in a really vulnerable moment. Like, I was literally like so upset in the elevator. He knew I was upset. And he also, like, one of the first things we talked about was how old I was. I was 19 at the time. And he was like, well, I don't mind, but do you mind how old I am? And I was like, I didn't care at the time because, I don't know, I just didn't care. But I think, like, now, even though it's only been a few years, like, looking back, like, if I had a friend or someone that was younger, I would immediately pull them back from someone like that.
You said someone like that. What do you mean by that?
Like an older guy offering you an ear to listen to and drugs and alcohol And obviously, I knew it wasn't a smart idea. I know it's not a smart idea, but I've never been in a mental state like that.
And I just want to clarify this. I'm sorry to have to keep asking you questions like this. But I just want to be clear. You testified earlier that the defendant put his penis inside your vagina, correct?
Yes, he did.
And you said that was for 3 minutes?
No, it was like the process was like 3 minutes of him like trying. So he put it in, and like maybe for like 3 seconds, 5 seconds, like it was in there, and then he was frustrated and stopped, and then like went on this whole tangent or whatever.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Just briefly, you said he took advantage of you.
Yes,
You willingly went to his apartment
yes,
when you were sober.
somewhat.
You were sober. You were not sober when you were in the elevator with him.
I was like high off weed.
Okay. That you used on your own, not with him, right?
Yes,
So drug use is something that you do on a regular basis.
yes, I smoke weed.
Okay. So then using cocaine was not like a surprise or something you would never in a million years ever do, right?
At the time, it was something that I would never do.
Had you done it before?
Not before then, no.
Okay, so the very
Well,
first...
I've done it before, yes, but not like it wasn't something that I did. Like I've had an experience with cocaine before then.
Okay. And so the very second time you use cocaine is with a complete stranger in his apartment where the two of you are alone.
Yes,
And he took advantage of you.
yes,
You took him up to your apartment
yes,
Question asked and answered.
where your roommate was home.
yes.
And you didn't say anything to your roommate about, I've got this creeper following behind me, right?
No, I said something. I was like, this is this guy.
Uh-huh. And did you say, he's a weirdo making me feel icky and gross?
At the time, I was not like thinking that.
Okay.
It
So
really didn't hit me until I really started reflecting on like what I did
on your choices, reflecting on your choices
and
is when
reflecting
you
on
started,
the things that he said.
when you began reflecting on your choices the next day to sleep with a stranger, to use drugs with a stranger, to put yourself in that position, that you started to feel icky about your choices, right?
Objection argumentative.
Yes.
Thank you, nothing further.
Hold on. Thank you. Next witness.
People call Anthony Elias.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please have a seat on the witness stand. Please tell us your first and last name.
My first name is Anthony. My last name is Elias.
And please spell both of those names.
My first name is Anthony, and my last name is Elias.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Do you know Ali Abulaban?
Yes,
How do you know him?
he is my cousin.
See him in court today?
No.
You don't see him in court today?
Oh, there he is. I see him, yes.
Can you point out where he's sitting and describe articles of clothing he's currently wearing?
I'm sorry? I didn't
Can you
understand.
point out where he's sitting and describe articles of clothing he's currently wearing?
He's sitting right over there. He's wearing like a jacket and a white shirt. He has long hair.
May the record reflect identification of the defendant?
Yes.
Does he look different today than times you've seen him in the past?
Yes, he's grown his hair, and he has a longer beard, I believe, than he had before.
You said that the defendant is your cousin. Did you ever live in the same state as him where you would hang out on a regular basis?
We didn't hang out on a regular basis, but we did live in the same state. We lived in Virginia together, but we weren't so close to where we could see each other frequently. So it was like a once in a while thing.
Okay. So would you say that you didn't have a close relationship with the defendant growing up?
As children, we did.
Okay. But not as adults?
No.
Did you talk to the defendant on the phone while you were both adults?
Yes.
Okay. Or how often?
Not very often. Once in a blue moon.
Did the defendant call you in the year 2021, if you recall, to talk to you about his marriage or Anna?
I don't remember the exact dates, but I just know like bits and pieces. He's only told me once before when I was in Virginia. I went to drop off my kids. He told me that he's going to get some therapy over there to fix his marriage, and then just one other time in a text.
Okay. So you didn't know a lot about what was going on in his marriage with Anna?
No.
Had you ever met Anna?
No.
Had you ever talked to her on the phone?
No.
Okay, I want to talk to you about a text message conversation you had with the defendant on October 1st of 2021. Do you remember those messages?
Yes.
Okay, I'm showing you People's Exhibit number 176. This exhibit is 53 pages. And I'm going to turn first to page 2. Okay, could you look through these messages and then let me know when you're done? You don't have to read them out loud, just read them to yourself.
Yes, I read them.
Okay. So the messages in front of you in People's Exhibit 168, page 2, are those the exact text messages you exchanged with the defendant on October 1st, 2021?
That's correct.
Okay. And the phone number on those messages, that's your phone number? The 832 number?
Yes.
Okay. And the defendant had your phone number?
Yes.
Okay. Had he engaged in text messaging with you often before this date?
I can't recall.
Or not at all, if you don't recall any messages?
Yeah, I really can't recall. I mean, we didn't talk that frequently for me to even remember.
Okay. All right, so on October 1st of 2021, did the defendant tell you in this text message series that he saw Anna with another man?
Yes.
Before that date, did you know anything about, did the defendant say anything to you about the status of his marriage with Anna?
I can't recall.
Okay. So when you read the message that I saw Anna with another man, did you have any knowledge about whether or not they were separated at the time?
No.
You did not have any such knowledge?
No, I didn't know they were separated.
Okay. So when you saw that text message from the defendant, were you surprised?
Yes.
Okay. Because in your mind, you thought that he and Anna were still together.
Right.
And did the defendant send you a text message that says, "I'll beat his fucking ass."
Yes.
Okay? And did the defendant at the end of this conversation text you, "I'll kill him"?
Yes.
And you're exchanging messages back and forth about this man that the defendant saw Anna with.
Correct.
And you were responding to him? Or were you just being supportive of him?
Yes.
Okay, because you thought that they were still together?
Yes.
And he didn't tell you anything about the fact that she had left him,
No.
right? You didn't know that?
No.
And did the defendant tell you anything about the fact that he had already had sex with another woman
No.
before that time?
No.
Okay? So you didn't know any of the background about the status of their marriage, right?
No.
All right, and then if you turn to the next page, in the packet is page 3. Okay, if you can just look through these messages to yourself and then let me know when you're finished.
I read it.
Okay, and Exhibit 168, page 3, is this also an exact depiction of a series of text messages you and the defendant exchanged with each other on October 1st of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. So the defendant is telling you, first of all, he's sending you a phone number at the top. Did you know what phone number that was?
No.
Did you know if that was Anna's phone number?
I can't recall. I know he wanted me to call her and say something to her. So he may have told me her number at that point, but I think he wanted me to call some restaurant over here and ask about her.
Okay, so is the defendant sending you a couple of different phone numbers for you to
Yes.
call? And is the defendant telling you to say that your name is Randy from La Jolla Cove, and you are calling because you found a debit card on her table and can't read the name?
That is correct.
Is he telling you to say those things?
Yes.
And then the defendant is telling you to ask her the names of who was with her. Is that the defendant telling you to ask Anna who she's with?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So when the defendant is telling you to make a call to Anna and pretend to be someone else, what did you think about that?
That's when I stopped talking.
Okay, did you make the phone call?
No.
Is the defendant telling you to call Anna and say that Ali thinks he saw you with another man and he's going crazy?
No, I didn't say that.
No. Is that what the defendant is telling you to say?
Yes.
Okay. And then is he also telling you to say to Anna, "I'm scared he might hurt himself"?
Yes.
Okay. So did that concern you that the defendant was telling you to lie essentially and say that he was going to hurt himself?
I thought he was overreacting at the time. I didn't take it serious.
Okay. And so, but the defendant is asking you to lie essentially to Anna,
Right.
right? He's telling you to pretend to be someone else. Correct, yes?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And he's telling you to find out who she's with because he wants to know who she's with, correct?
That's correct.
And the defendant is telling you to say that he may hurt himself
That's correct.
because he's trying to get Anna to talk to him.
That's correct.
So these are the things that the defendant's telling you to say to Anna to get her to call him or talk to him, right?
Correct.
All right, and the defendant's telling you to just fucking work with him and settle things because he hasn't moved on and help him understand that it's over. Is that what the defendant is telling you to do?
That is correct, yes.
So the defendant's asking you to meddle into his relationship to try to get Anna to talk to him,
That's correct.
right? And you did not agree to do that, right?
No.
You didn't want to be involved in that situation?
No, I just, it wasn't my place.
Okay, wasn't your place. So you never made any phone calls to her after this conversation, right?
No.
Did you do anything to spy on Anna or to look up her social media or anything like that to tell the defendant what she was doing?
No.
Have you talked to the defendant since this date, October 1st, 2021?
No.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, sir. You at some point gave an interview to the district attorney's office, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and you spoke with an investigator by the name of Elliot Schaefer, does that sound right?
Yes.
And when you spoke with Mr. Schaefer, you explained to him that there was this series of text messages between you and your cousin Ali, is that right?
That's correct.
You didn't really remember independently this text message conversation, is that right?
That's correct.
It was only until the investigator kind of showed them to you that you remembered having had this conversation with your cousin.
Correct.
That's because when you read these text messages, you didn't think that it was anything serious, right?
Correct.
Objection, relevance.
Overruled.
You described that to the investigator that your cousin Ali had a history of making comments like this, right?
Objection, hearsay, relevance.
Overruled. The answer will stand.
So the answer is yes, he had a history of making comments like this, is that correct?
Yes.
And that you thought he was making these text comments because he was upset, right?
Yes.
Objection, relevance, speculation, improper impeachment.
I'll sustain that as a speculation.
Did you ever talk with him on the phone, or these were just text messages that you had?
These were just text messages. We rarely spoke as adults.
Okay. Based on your relationship with him, you told the district attorney just a few minutes ago that you guys were closer as younger kids, kind of grew apart as time went on.
That's correct.
But based on your relationship that you did have with him, he's the type of person that does not have a filter when he speaks. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and that's what you told the district attorney's investigator, correct?
Yes.
Objection, hearsay.
Overruled.
You also told the district attorney investigator that you may have called Anna on an occasion. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when you just testified a couple minutes ago that you had not talked to Anna on the phone, are you now kind of confused about whether you actually spoke with Anna?
What I was telling the investigator I spoke with is I wasn't sure what the timeline was, you know? So I know I had sent her a voicemail, but whatever he wanted me to say, I didn't say.
Okay.
It was completely different. It was me pretty much saying, hey, I wanted to hear your side of the story. If you need someone to talk to, you can talk to me.
Okay. So you independently sent Anna a voicemail that was not related to Ali asking you to send a voicemail to Anna, is
That's
that right?
correct, yes.
And you sent that voicemail because you said you were trying to get her side of the story?
Right, yeah.
Okay, because you did have an understanding that this marriage was kind of in turmoil, right?
Bits and pieces, yeah.
Okay. So when you testified a few minutes ago that you didn't know that, that's not entirely true, right?
I didn't know what is going on in his life. All I know is the little bits, and I don't even have a timeline in my head of when to begin or start.
Okay. The last time you saw Ali actually in person was in Virginia, right?
Right,
And he was there getting therapy, correct?
correct,
And you described your interaction with him as though he was really depressed, right?
yes.
And you told all of that to the district attorney investigator, correct?
I can't recall. Probably so, yes.
Now, you said that these series of text messages that you received from Ali, that was on October 1st of 2021, correct?
Yes.
Are you aware that Anna was actually in Virginia and not in San Diego on October 1st?
No.
And these messages that you were getting, I think you described them as you thought Ali was was exaggerating?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled.
I think you just testified to that on direct examination a few moments ago. You thought he was overreacting or exaggerating?
Right, I know he was upset.
Okay. Did he appear, did these messages seem kind of bizarre to you?
Bizarre? I just thought he was upset. I didn't take it as bizarre.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any other questions?
Yes. I know you don't know whether or not you actually spoke with Anna, but if you did, was it at the defendant's direction?
I don't understand.
Like, did you call Anna out of the blue to talk to her about her marriage with the defendant?
No, I had left her a voicemail, and it was something very brief, like, hey, you know, I heard you guys are having trouble. If you want to give me your perspective, that's okay.
Okay, so you just left her a voicemail, you didn't speak with her?
No,
That's what you recall?
no, I've never spoken to her one-on-one.
Okay, so when you left Anna the voicemail, was that because the defendant told you to call her?
He wanted me to say something totally different. I'm not even sure if it's this. Like I said, my timeline is kind of messed up. We didn't talk that frequently. So it may be whenever he was telling me to tell her all these things is when I sent her a voicemail. But I didn't say what he wanted me to say. I just kind of said, hey, look, if just wanted to hear your perspective.
Okay, but that was at the defendant's urging?
Yes.
You weren't getting involved in calling her on your own?
No.
Right?
I mean, I wasn't trying to mingle or be I don't know what the word to use. I was being for their benefit, pretty much.
Okay, you weren't trying to meddle in their marriage on your own?
Yes.
All right, and I know you said that the defendant doesn't have a filter, but he blatantly told you that he was going to kill a man, correct?
Correct.
Did you later learn that actually happened?
Yes.
Okay. And so then when you said the defendant was exaggerating, that was in regards to the questions I asked you about what he wanted you to say to Anna when he called, right?
Yeah, I thought he was being ridiculous.
Okay, thank you, nothing further.
Any other questions?
Just briefly.
Sure.
Do you remember telling the district attorney investigator that you learned from Anna that there was a restraining order in place?
Objection outside the scope.
I didn't learn from her that, no.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, you can answer.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead. Answer.
No.
No, you don't remember telling the district attorney investigator that?
No.
Okay. Did you learn from someone that there was a restraining order in place?
I think from family members. Who? I forgot.
Okay, but you don't recall expressly telling the district attorney investigator that you learned from Anna that there was a restraining order in place?
No.
Okay, thank you, nothing further.
Nothing, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Why don't we go ahead, ladies and gentlemen, 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Please have a seat on the witness stand. Please tell us your first and last name.
Alexandra Turan.
And please spell both of those names.
Alexandra spelled Alexandra. Turan spelled T as in Tom, ERAN.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. What is your current occupation?
I currently work as a regional manager for Pinnacle International.
What is Pinnacle International?
It is the management firm for Spire San Diego.
What is Spire San Diego?
Spire San Diego is the building where the incident took place.
Is that an apartment complex in the area of East Village?
Correct.
Were you working at the Spire building on October 20th, 2021?
Yes, I was.
How long have you been the regional manager for the Pinnacle International?
I was promoted last year in April 1st. Before that, I was the property manager.
And what was your role as a property manager?
Oversee the day-to-day operations of the property. So I was there on site Monday through Friday.
And can you describe for us the Spire building and the different towers?
It's a high-rise, 45 stories each. It's physically attached to the sister property that's also 45 stories. It shares the underground parking as well as the first floor amenities.
Okay, so you said that each building is 44 stories each. What is each building tower called?
Spire San Diego and Pinnacle on the park.
Okay, so tenants of the apartment complex either have an apartment in the Spire San Diego tower or they have an apartment in the Pinnacle on the park tower.
Correct.
Okay, and each tower is 45 stories, and then both towers share a parking garage,
Yes,
is that right? And then you said or tenants in both towers can share the amenities on the first floor?
that is correct.
Does Spire San Diego have its own lobby entrance?
Yes,
Is that an entrance that requires an access or key card to get in?
not necessarily. Yes, you can enter with the key card, but you can also be buzzed in by the receptionist.
Okay, so Spire San Diego has its own lobby where you can either flash your key card to get in or be buzzed in by the receptionist, correct?
Yes.
And then Pinnacle on the park has the same?
Correct.
Same, has lobby doors, and you can either use a key card to get in or be buzzed in.
The same, yes.
And then are tenants from each of the apartments assigned to a particular parking spot in that underground garage?
Yes, they are.
How many levels is the parking garage?
5 levels.
So what is each level called?
It's B1 through B5.
Okay. B or P?
Sorry, P.
Okay, so P1, P2, P3, P4, and P5
Yes.
are the parking garage levels.
Mm-hmm.
And is there an elevator on every parking level?
Yes.
And so it would be labeled, if you park in P1, you take the P1 elevator to get up to your apartment.
Yes.
And when you're in the parking garage, are there two separate sets of elevators? One set to get to the Spire apartments and one set to get to the Pinnacle apartments?
Yes, there is. Mm-hmm.
Or could somebody take, let's say, the Spire parking elevator to the lobby and then walk through to the Pinnacle?
Yes, that's also an option.
Okay. So is there a hallway on the first floor between the two towers?
Yes.
So tenants can access both towers just by walking through the inside of the complex.
Correct.
And if a person were to come through the lobby and go to the set of elevators, does every person need a key card to be able to get onto the elevator?
Yes.
So you can't just as a member of the public walk into the building and ride the elevator up to an apartment?
That is correct.
Okay. So you would either have to have a key card, or the front desk receptionist perhaps would use a key card to allow someone upstairs?
Yes, that's exactly what happens.
And then that's in both towers, Spire and Pinnacle?
Yes.
Okay, so you started to tell us about your duties as a property manager. In October of 2021, you were working as a property manager.
Yes.
What building?
Spire San Diego.
Okay, so you worked in the Spire Tower Monday through Friday?
Yes.
And you said you would oversee operations of the building. Anything else in particular that you were responsible for?
I think that kind of sums it all. So anything that has to do with the building, it kind of goes through me. Whether it's a resident or a prospect, or a resident needing assistance with something, they could go through me.
Are all of those apartments rentals, or do some people own the
No, they're all
apartments?
rentals.
Okay, so then a renter who lives in the building could come to you with a problem or, anything they wanted to, or any questions they wanted answered.
Yes.
And what are your duties as a regional manager?
They are a little bit different because I oversee a couple buildings, not just the Spire building. So I oversee 4 total buildings.
You oversee 4 total buildings?
Yes.
And as of October of 2021, how long had you been the property manager at Spire?
For a little bit over a month. I started my employment with Pinnacle September 13th of that same year.
And did you have any similar occupations before that?
Yes, I've been working in the property management industry for over 17 years.
Okay, just at other apartment complexes, not Spire.
Correct.
Okay, with similar duties as a
Yes.
property manager? Okay, I want to talk to you about People's Exhibit number 1. It's the photograph right in front of you. Could you please tell us who that is?
Yes, this is Miss Anna.
Is that Anna Abulaban?
Yes,
Was she one of the tenants in the Spire San Diego?
she was.
Who was she living with at Spire?
Who she was living with, I don't know. I can tell you who was on the lease itself, which was herself. She had her husband on there, and then her minor child was also listed,
Okay, what was her husband's name?
Ali.
So Ali Abulaban was on the lease along with Anna Abulaban,
Correct.
and you said their child Amira?
I don't recall the name, but yes, if that is her name.
Okay, so 3 of them were on the lease as living in the Spire building.
Yes.
Recall what apartment they were in?
I don't, not off the top of my head.
Was it 3508?
That sounds right, yes.
All right, so at some point in time, you were able to review the lease? Were you the person who was with them when they signed the lease?
No,
You just knew that, or that was a document that's kept on hand at the Spire?
yes.
Okay. And at some point in time, you reviewed the document to see who was on the lease?
Yes, I reviewed the document when I spoke to Anna.
Okay. And why did you end up reviewing the document?
She came into the office the night before the incident, and she was requesting assistance with a parking pass. And so I first have to check who's on the lease before we issue anything. So that was the first time I actually reviewed the not the entire lease, but who was listed on the lease.
Okay. So you said you had a meeting with Anna on, it was October 20th of 2021?
The day before the incident, yes.
The day before, okay. And so was that the first time that you had met Anna in person?
Yes.
And had you ever met her husband, Ali?
No.
All right, so on October 20th of 2021, Anna comes into your office, your property management office, to meet with you?
Yes.
And you said she asked you for a parking pass?
Correct.
Was that a separate parking pass other than the one she had?
Yes, she was asking for a guest parking pass.
Is each tenant, or if there's more than one tenant that lives in an apartment, are they only assigned one parking space?
Yes, they're only assigned, actually, they can be assigned more than one, but in this case, they only had one.
Okay. So you have to pay for an extra parking pass?
No, the guest passes are free. We issue up to 5 a month. But the guest passes are for a guest to park in their own assigned stall.
And so if 2 people live in the same apartment and both have cars, just one person has to park on the street,
Yes, that is correct.
unless they get a guest pass?
No, unless they get another stall. We don't have any guest stalls. The guest would park in that resident stall, and then the resident chooses to park on the street or something.
Okay. All right, so when Anna was asking you for a guest parking pass, that's when you checked the lease
Yes.
and you saw who was on it,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Was there anything else that Anna told you in that meeting other than she was trying to get a pass?
Yes, she asked if she seemed a little bit in a hurry, so she didn't have a lot of time to talk, but she asked how she would go about to remove someone from the lease. And I told her, oh yeah, I can help you with that. She said, I don't really have time to discuss that, but can I come in and talk to you another day? And I said, yes, absolutely.
Okay. Did Anna tell you who she wanted removed from the lease?
She didn't really go into details. Again, she seemed like she was in a hurry, so at that time she did not tell me exactly what was going on or who she wanted removed from the lease.
Okay. You just knew it was somebody that she wanted removed, and the only other adult on the lease was
Right. It was kind of obvious who she wanted because there was only 2 people on the lease, yes.
Okay. All right, and what was your response to her?
I told her I could assist her with that. There was a procedure where we remove a roommate that required some signatures. Again, I didn't go into full details with her because she was in a hurry. She wanted to, it sounded like she was parked in the red zone, and so she was trying to move her car and park it downstairs. So she was in a rush.
Okay, so she was asking for a guest pass for her car,
Correct.
her other car she had there.
Yes.
Okay. All right, and so you gave Anna information about that you could assist her with breaking the lease or removing someone from the lease,
I did.
correct? And was there any other conversation that you had with Anna that day?
Not that I recall, no.
Okay, and then when is the next time you spoke with Anna?
The morning after, she called me, she called the office, actually, and coincidentally, I happened to answer the phone. I recognized her voice because I had just spoken to her the evening before. But she called the office, saying she was a resident of Spire and that she wanted to know if she could gain access to the dumpsters, because some of her personal belongings had been thrown away in the trash. And I then said, "Is this Anna?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, I recognize your voice from last night." I said, "This is Alexandra. We met yesterday." She's like, "Oh." She's like, "So I need to get access to the dumpsters because," she said, "my husband is in the building and he just called me to tell me that he threw a bunch of my personal items down the trash chute."
And what was Anna's demeanor like when she was talking to you?
She was actually pretty calm. I remember thinking, man, if somebody threw my stuff down the chute, I would be very upset. But she was actually very calm. It almost seemed like she was used to it.
What do you mean by used to it?
Like she was very like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." You know, when I told her she couldn't have access to the dumpsters, that we couldn't retrieve the items, she was very like, "Oh, okay," like just very calm about it, very forgiving. She wasn't trying to dispute it.
Okay, and do you recall, so now we're on October 21st of 2021, correct?
Yes.
Do you recall what time Anna called you?
I want to say it was around 10 a.m. or so.
All right, and then, so Anna told you that her husband, did she identify him by name?
No, I don't recall if she did. I don't think so.
Okay, so she said her husband threw some of her items into the, was it the dumpster or the trash bin, or how did she word that?
So every floor has access to trash chutes. So I'm assuming, she said the trash chute, so I'm assuming it's the trash chute on their floor where items were thrown away.
Okay. And is there a trash chute just outside of apartment 3508?
I don't recall the location of the trash chute in comparison to the unit.
But on that floor?
Yes.
And Anna told you that the defendant was in the building at that time?
Yes, that's what she said.
I'm sorry, or her husband was in the building at that time?
Yes.
Okay. And that he had told her that he had threw the items away?
Yes. Apparently she was not home. She received a phone call from her husband letting her know that he was in the apartment and that he had just thrown away personal items down the chute.
Okay, and so presumably when you throw items into that trash chute on each floor, they end up into some type of dumpster downstairs?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right, and you didn't have access to that dumpster?
It's not that we don't have access, it's actually not safe to go in there. Everything is compressed and then shot out, so it has a cover on it, so it's not like open where everybody can reach into it. It's a covered dumpster, and then everything gets compacted and then it spits out, but it's very dangerous to gain access to it.
Okay. And so you explained that to Anna, and then you said she was very forgiving and calm about it.
Yes, I explained, at first I told her, no, you can't gain access, and she said, oh, it's because it's very expensive items, it's a couple, she mentioned some expensive purses, she said something about a Gucci purse, something like that, and I said, no, I kind of explained what I just explained to you, where it's all in a compactor and we don't have access, and she just said, oh, okay.
Right. And then did she ask you some more questions during that phone call about removing someone from the lease?
She brought it up again, just saying, hey, I want to remove my husband off the lease, and I said, okay, no problem, come and see me and I can help you with that.
Okay, so this time she told you that she wanted to remove her husband from the
Yes.
lease?
Mm-hmm.
And what did she tell you about why she wanted to remove her husband from the lease?
I don't think she went into details. I think at that point she kind of assumed that it was an obvious thing where her husband had thrown away some stuff, so she said, I want to remove him from the lease.
Did Anna tell you that she was splitting up from her husband?
No.
Okay. Do you recall telling the officer who interviewed you that Anna told you she was splitting from her husband?
I don't recall at this time, to be
Okay,
honest with you.
No problem. Did you have a conversation with Officer Terrell Totten on October 21st, 2021?
I don't recall his name, but I did have a conversation with an officer.
Okay. And would reviewing your statement to that officer help refresh your memory about
Okay.
the detail about splitting up? And you said yes?
Yes.
Okay. So if you could, just read your statement here to yourself, starting with this paragraph, and then,
This one right here?
yes, and then
Okay.
let me know when you're finished.
Okay. Anna
No, no,
also.
oh, I'm sorry, to yourself.
Oh. Okay, yes.
Okay, has your memory been refreshed?
Yes.
Reading your statement?
Mhm.
So what is it that you recall Anna telling you about why she wanted to remove her husband, Ali, from the lease?
So she did mention, and I don't remember the details, but she mentioned that they were splitting up.
And when you spoke with this officer, Officer Totten, fair to say all the events were very fresh in your memory, having just happened?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, so did Anna tell you that she did not want the defendant to have access to her apartment?
Yes, she did say that.
So was it your understanding from what Anna had just told you that the defendant did have access to her apartment that day on October 21st?
If I recall correctly, she did not know how he had access to the apartment because she was under the assumption that he no longer had access because he had given her his keys to get into the apartment.
Okay, and is that the key card that you're referring to?
Yes.
Is it, can you describe it for us?
Oh, it's just a little fob key. So it's literally just a little round thing that you scan right at the front door.
And were you working when her husband had moved out of the apartment and turned in his keys?
No, because the keys were not turned into management. My understanding is that they were handed over to, or what I understood was that he gave them to her.
Okay, so you don't have any knowledge, either you or another member of your team, having met with the defendant to take any of his keys or have him return the keys?
Yeah, that never happened. Whenever someone turns in keys, we document that and they sign off that they turned in keys. And keys were never turned in to us.
Okay, so is your understanding that the defendant or the husband returned keys directly to Anna?
Correct, that was our assumption, yes.
All right, but Anna told you specifically that she thought that her husband did not have a key,
Yes.
right? And so were you concerned when you heard that he did have access to the building, meaning, or the apartment, meaning he did have a key to get in?
No, it wasn't concerning at the time. It just sounded like a husband and wife kind of having a dispute, but we as management don't get involved. There's times when, you know, they go through that and then all of a sudden next week you see them as a couple like nothing. So no, it's not rare for us to hear something like that. Unless they turn in keys to us, we don't get involved.
Okay. And so on October 21st, Anna told you specifically that she did not want the defendant to have access to her apartment anymore.
Yes,
That's what she told you? Okay.
correct.
And so what information did you give her at that point, knowing all this, that she wanted to break the lease and didn't want her husband to have access?
She said that she wanted him off the lease, and if she couldn't get him off the lease, that she wanted to break the lease. So I told her that there were a couple options. The first one is we can have her fill out just a form removing that person from the lease. It did require both of their signatures, meaning their consent to be removed.
And when Anna was talking to you about not wanting her husband to have access to the apartment, what was her demeanor like?
It was a very brief conversation. It was, again, over the phone, and her demeanor was very calm.
Was that the last time you spoke with Anna?
Yes.
Is there anything else Anna told you during that conversation about her husband or them splitting up?
I don't recall.
Later on, either that, first of all, what time did you work until that day?
Probably close to 7:30 or 8.
PM?
Yes.
At some point after 3 PM, did officers arrive to the building?
Yes.
Where were you working?
On the first floor, our leasing office, out of the leasing office, which is located on the first floor close to the lobby.
When the officers arrived in the building, did you learn what happened?
Yes.
And did you receive information from the police directly?
Originally, no. Originally, the police arrived and spoke with my front desk, who then came back and told me, hey, there's a situation in the building. We're being told there's an active shooter. We need to evacuate.
And you said that you had never met Ali Abulaban. Did you see him at all walking through the building that day?
No.
And you were working in the Spire, you said not the Pinnacle.
Right. Physically working at the Spire office, yes.
So the first time you learned about what happened in the building was that there was an active shooter.
Yes.
Right. Did you then evacuate the building?
Yes. I had my entire staff evacuate first, and then I evacuated a couple minutes after, just to ensuring that everybody got out.
When you were told at that time that there was an active shooter, did you know who it was?
No.
Did you know who the victims were?
No.
So was the building essentially like closed off at that point?
It was closed off to anyone coming in, but the people that were in their homes, they were just asked to remain in their homes via intercom.
Okay, was that you that made that intercom announcement?
Yes, because the police asked me to do it.
Okay, so when you make that announcement, it goes to inside every single apartment?
Yes.
And were you or someone on your team there to assist the police officers with being able to get onto the elevators?
Yes, one of my maintenance staff was there to assist them.
Right, so, and then how long did you stay evacuated from the building?
At least an hour, if not maybe an hour and a half.
so at some point you went back into the building, and then what were you doing that day?
I went back into the office, just trying to get regular work done, and then kind of assisting police as they needed access or had questions or anything, just making myself available to anything that came up, and then also trying to conduct regular business.
And at what point in time did you learn that Anna was one of the victims of the shooting?
I don't recall, but it was around the time we were evacuated.
And then at some point that day, then you gave your statement to Officer Totten,
Yes.
correct? And then also at some point, either later that day or the next day, you met with a Detective Robert Hopper about the surveillance video?
Correct.
Can you describe for us where the surveillance cameras are in the Spire and Pinnacle buildings?
Yes, there we have cameras in the lobby, in the elevators, one in the parking garage, right at the entry and exit of the parking garage, and a couple in our amenity areas.
Okay, so cameras in both of the lobbies, and then cameras on every elevator?
Correct.
And then you said camera in the parking garage, meaning when you're first pulling your car into the parking garage, a camera will see that you're pulling in.
Yes, it's the same entry and exit for both, so yes, they'll see you as you enter and you exit.
And then how, is there a room where one can see like all of these cameras?
It's not necessarily a room. The camera system is located at our front desk, both of our front desks, at both Pinnacle and Spire. It's a different computer, obviously, from the one that my front desk uses on a daily basis.
Okay, and so at the front desk, you can see all the elevators and the parking garage and the lobbies,
Yes.
correct? And so videos are also stored, correct? Like the surveillance video, let's say you wanted to look at video from the day prior, where would you access that?
Yeah, you go to the surveillance system and you can access that on the system.
You know how long video is saved on your system?
It depends. It's not based on time, it's based on memory. And so our cameras record when there's activity. So it can record, it can hold up to maybe 60, I've seen it go up to like 65 days maybe.
Okay. And so were you the one that met with Detective Robert Hopper when he came in and wanted to see the surveillance video?
Yes.
Okay. And did he want to see the surveillance video from the entire day of October 21st, 2021?
That was my understanding, yes.
Okay. Did you personally meet with him on a number of days so that he could view the surveillance video?
Yes.
And the surveillance video, when you were viewing it with Detective Hopper, did you explain to him that the time stamp was off?
I believe so. I had made that observation maybe a couple weeks before that the timestamp was off a little bit, so I might have brought it up to him when we met. Yes.
Okay. And so was it your understanding, based on looking at the surveillance video, if you're looking at it, let's say, for example, you're looking at the video at 2:50 p.m., was the time on the video 13 minutes earlier?
I don't remember if it was 13, but I do remember it was off. Yeah.
Okay. Meaning earlier. So let's say if it's actually 2:50 p.m., would the surveillance video timestamp be 2:37 p.m. or something to that nature?
If it was off by 13 minutes, yes, but I don't recall exactly how many minutes it was
Okay.
off.
You just recall it was behind.
Yes.
Real time. And how was it that you gave Detective Hopper access to the video?
I actually gave him access to our surveillance system, so he would have to come in and sit at the monitor in the computer and he was able to access it, just because he needed to review so much footage. I couldn't sit with him for that many hours, so I just gave him access directly to our system.
Okay, and then he just viewed it over the course of a couple days because there was so much, as you said?
Yes.
And does your system have the capability of allowing someone to download the video?
Yes.
So is that what Detective Hopper did at the Spire?
It was my understanding that he did, yes.
That was something that you gave him access to, correct?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Nothing further.
Any questions?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon.
Hi.
You said that Anna Abulaban came into the office on 10/20/21 with an unknown male to get a guest parking pass. Is that correct?
No, she came in by herself.
Okay. Do you remember speaking with Officer Terrell Totten about your exchange with Anna on 10/20?
I do, yes.
Do you remember telling him that Anna came in with an unknown male to your office?
She came in by herself. There was someone in the lobby. There was a couple friends with her, and one of them was a male.
Okay. Do you remember telling the officer that Anna came into your office with an unknown male?
I do not.
Okay. And that she left with the unknown male in a silver BMW 5 Series?
I remember the vehicle, but I don't remember her with who she left with.
And you didn't say anything to Officer Totten that she was there with a group of friends?
I don't recall what I said to him, to be honest with you. It's been a while.
You just reviewed the statement when the district attorney gave it to you. Do you need to see it again?
Sure.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, does this look like the statement you just reviewed a moment ago that the district attorney handed to you?
Sorry, I only reviewed one paragraph, so.
Okay, do you mind just reviewing the entire statement, please? And just look up when you're done.
Okay.
Okay. Do you recall having that conversation with Officer Taunton?
Yes.
Okay, and do you recall, now that you've had a chance to review the statement that you gave to him, do you recall telling him that Anna was there with an unknown male in your office on 10/20?
No, I don't recall saying he was in my office, because he wasn't.
Okay. Do you think the officer just got it wrong when he wrote down what you said?
I believe so, yes. The male was waiting in the lobby.
Okay, and there were other people there as well?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, and that part also didn't make it into your statement, right?
Okay.
I mean, do you see that anywhere in your statement?
No.
And then Anna and the male left in a silver BMW. Is that also wrong?
No, that sounds about right.
Okay, you remember telling that to the officer?
That they left in a silver BMW, yes.
Okay. Nothing, let me back that up for just a second. That was described, at least in your statement that the officer took down, as the interaction you had with Anna on 10/20. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand the
Sure.
question.
Okay, you spoke with Officer Totten about 2 interactions you had with Anna Abulaban, correct?
Okay.
Is that correct?
The interaction prior to the incident and after, or,
Okay.
okay,
You spoke with Anna in your office on 10/20, is that right?
yes,
And then you spoke with her on the telephone on 10/21, is that correct?
correct, yes,
So those were 2 interactions that you had with Anna Abulaban.
yes,
On 10/20, she was in your office, and on 10/20, it was over the phone. Sorry,
Correct.
10/21 was over the phone.
correct,
So when you met with Officer Totten, you explained to him those interactions that you had, those 2 interactions, correct?
yes,
You did not tell Officer Totten that on 10/20, Anna talked to you about wanting to break the lease that she had for the apartment. Is that correct?
I don't recall.
again, the statement in front of you, do you see that anywhere in the statement that is prepared by Officer Totten based on the conversation you say you had with Anna on 10/20?
No, it's not on my statement.
That conversation, at least according to Officer Totten and what he says you told him that day, was just about the parking pass.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Then the next day, you said, in explaining it to Officer Totten, you said that Anna called you on the phone, right?
Yes.
And wanted to talk to you about how she could access property of hers that may have been thrown down a trash chute. Is that right?
Yes.
And in that conversation, you were asked how Anna's demeanor was, and you said she was calm. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then you added, as if she was used to it.
Yes.
Okay. This was just the second interaction you'd ever had with Anna, correct?
Second interaction. Yes.
And so her demeanor the day before was calm?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were talking to her on the phone was calm, correct?
The demeanor was calm, but she was kind of in a hurry the first time, right? But the second time, yes, she was.
Okay. So then,
her tone of voice was calm.
thank you. You saying as though she was used to it, you don't have any idea what Anna was used to based on these conversations you had with her, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That was your assumption, and I think you said you would have been upset had your stuff been thrown down the trash chute, right?
I did. Yes.
So then saying she was calm as though she was used to it, you don't have any idea, other than these two interactions with Anna, what her experiences were?
I don't. Correct.
When you were speaking with Anna over the phone on 10/21, Anna, this was the first time that Anna contacted your office about wanting to have Ali removed from a lease. Is that correct?
That she spoke with me, yes.
Do you have notes that she spoke to anybody else from your leasing office about having Ali removed prior to October 21st?
I do not.
And in fact, you instructed Anna that she should contact the leasing manager, Dennis, correct?
No.
Okay. Do you remember telling Officer Totten that you told Anna that you would get in contact with the leasing manager, Dennis, to go over her situation?
I don't recall that.
Okay. Do you have the statement there in front of you?
Yes.
Do you see the last line of your statement?
I do.
Okay. And it says, I told Anna I would get in contact with the leasing manager, Dennis, to go over her situation.
That doesn't sound correct.
Okay. So
Because we did not have a leasing manager by the name of Dennis.
okay. So you think Officer Totten just pulled that out of the blue?
I don't know. There is a person that worked for us. His name was Dennis, but he wasn't involved with any leasing or anything that had to do with this. So I don't know where this came from.
Had you ever met Officer Totten before?
No.
Any reason to believe that he would know who the employees were of Pinnacle or this particular apartment building, the Spire?
Objection, speculation.
Overruled, if you know.
I don't.
Okay, so if he included that part in your statement, talking about Dennis or other employees of this building, you don't have any reason to believe that he would know anybody else there?
No.
Okay. After speaking with Officer Totten and then the detective who came to pull video, did any of them inquire from you whether Anna had spoken to anybody at Spire about removing Ali Abulaban from the lease before October 21st?
I'm sorry, you're saying, can you repeat the question?
Sure. Did you ever tell any of the other officers, at any time that you spoke with anybody besides Totten or the detective who came about the video, that Anna had talked to anyone at your office about removing Ali Abulaban from the lease?
I don't think so. I don't recall.
Did you ever go back and look through any of the records that you have?
Well, we did pull the file, but I didn't find anything.
Okay. So then it appears to you then that there was nothing at least noted in your file for that apartment and those people for Spire that Anna had asked you or anybody else about removing Ali Abulaban prior to October 21st of 2021. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Hold on.
You said that Anna had a couple of friends outside waiting for her when she tried to get the parking pass?
I didn't see the couple friends. It seemed at the time when she came in, there was a lot going on in the lobby. There was a lot of people in the lobby, and it appeared as if there was people waiting for her in the lobby more than just, I thought it was a couple people, couple friends.
Okay. And did you know how many people?
No, I have no idea.
And you didn't know who they were?
No.
You assumed that they were friends of hers?
Yes.
Getting the pass? Okay, and when you were asked questions about the statement that you reviewed from Officer Totten, is that an entire transcript of your statement to him?
I'm sorry, what was that again?
When you reviewed the statement from Officer Totten that you gave, is that an entire transcript, question-answer session, or is that just a summary of the things you told him?
From reading it, it seems like it's just a summary.
Okay. So there may have been things that you told Officer Totten that he just didn't write in the report, correct?
Correct.
And he could have gotten information from other individuals besides you and included that in his report?
I'm assuming
fair
so,
to say?
yeah.
All right, thank you, nothing further.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Next witness.
People call Daniel Lacerda.
Do you solemnly state that the testimony you're about to give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Please have a seat on the witness stand. Please tell us your first and last name,
Daniel Lacerda.
and please spell both of those names.
Daniel Lacerda.
Thank you.
All right, good afternoon. In September of 2021, where were you living?
I was living in Spire, apartment 3507.
Spire, San Diego?
Correct.
Who were you living there with?
My wife,
What was her name?
Carolina.
And when had you and Carolina moved into the building?
I'd say a couple years before that.
In September and October of 2021, who was living in the apartment directly across from yours?
Ali and Anna.
Do you see Ali in court today?
I do.
Can you point out where he's sitting and describe articles of clothing he's currently wearing?
Yeah, he's wearing a suit, black and then white button up.
Identifying the defendant.
Thank you. Right, and had you met the defendant, Mr. Abulaban, on several occasions prior to October 21st of 2021?
Yes.
Okay. What about his wife, Anna Abulaban?
She was the first person I met out of the apartment.
Okay. Let me just check the photograph in front of you. All right, People's Exhibit number 1. Who is this?
That's Anna.
Anna Abulaban?
Correct.
Did you know Anna and the defendant well?
No, did not.
When you moved into the apartment, were they already living there or you had other neighbors?
I had other neighbors, but I didn't know them.
So at some point in time, the defendant and Anna and their daughter moved into the apartment across from you?
Correct.
Did Anna come over to your apartment sometime in September of 2021?
Yeah, that's how I met her. She didn't come inside the apartment, but she was knocking at the door. She never came inside.
All right, and do you recall when in September this was?
Maybe first, second week of September. It's hard to tell. It's been like 2 years, so.
Okay, so your best guess is first or second week, you just don't remember the exact date?
Correct.
All right, and so your door is closed to your apartment,
Yes.
and you hear a knock.
Yeah.
Do you answer the door, or does your wife Carolina answer?
I answered the door.
And then who was there?
It was Anna.
Just Anna, or anyone else that you saw?
It was just Anna, but I could see their daughter in the door frame in their apartment.
Did you know their daughter's name?
No.
Did you know how old she was?
I think she was around 6 years at the time.
So you see Anna, is she in the hallway?
Yes.
About how many feet of hallway is it between your door and their front door?
4 or 5 feet, maybe.
So you see Anna in the hallway, and how does she appear to you?
frantic. She was banging on the door asking to use my phone to call the cops. She said that Ali had run off with her phone. She was so frantic she didn't have her shirt on, and she didn't seem like she realized that. So I took my shirt off and I gave it to her. That was her status at the time.
Okay. Was she wearing pants?
She was wearing leggings, yeah.
What time of night was this? Or what time was it?
I think it was pretty late at night.
Are we talking about after midnight, before midnight?
I'm not quite sure, but I think my wife was asleep at the time, so
So it was late.
yes.
You said that Anna was frantic. Can you describe what made you see that she was frantic?
Yeah, she didn't realize that she wasn't having a shirt on, and as I was trying to give her my shirt, she said that, no, I have a shirt, I just need your phone. So I did just give her my phone.
Did you hear, what else did Anna say?
She said that that her husband was beating her and that he ran off with her phone. So that's fine.
At that point in time, had you met the defendant?
No.
Did you see the defendant that night?
No, just saw his feet as he turned the corner. Didn't know who it was. I just saw someone kind of running down the hallway.
Okay, you saw the defendant's feet as he turned what corner?
If you are at the apartment leaving my place, it's his door. Take a right, and then it's a left. It's a hallway down, and it's another hallway on the left, and then it's the elevators.
Okay, so when you see his feet, where do you see that?
I see it as he's turning the corner out of the hallway.
Meaning, is he inside the apartment
No.
and then leaving?
No. He's already down the hallway, leaving.
Okay, so when Anna first comes to your apartment,
She was alone.
the defendant is not inside?
No.
And you see the defendant leaving the hallway away from your apartment?
Yes.
Do you see him come back at any point?
No, not that night.
What did Anna say she was worried about in regards to the defendant?
That he was going to come back.
Was Anna crying?
Yes.
What was Amira's demeanor like, the child?
She seems very frightened.
And when you saw the defendant at that point, his feet and running away, did you see his face at all?
No.
All right, so you said that Anna told you the defendant ran off with her phone?
Correct.
Okay, so she asked for yours?
Yes.
Did she ask you to call the police?
No.
Did she ask for the phone to call police?
Correct.
Did you ever see her on the phone with 911 or the police?
No, she didn't call the cops. No.
Okay. Did she appear to you to be struggling with that decision?
Yes, she seemed a little worried, scared.
To call the police?
Yes.
You said that Anna told you the defendant was beating her. Did she say anything in particular?
No.
About how he did that?
No.
Did you ask?
No, I just gave her my phone, tried to help her out as much as I could.
Okay. Right. Did Anna tell you whether or not she changed her mind about calling the police?
No, she didn't explain herself.
Okay. Did she tell you she was going to call anyone else, like family?
Not that I remember, but I do remember her leaving the apartment with her daughter and a suitcase.
That night?
That same night, yes. Like I said, she was scared that he would come back, so.
Okay.
She
And so, did you have any further interaction with Anna before you gave her your phone?
No.
Okay. Did she then take your phone and go anywhere?
No, she stayed in the hallway.
Did you hear whether or not she made any calls on your phone?
No.
No, you did not hear, or no, she did not?
No, I did not hear. And
Were you-
I can check the receipts and no phone calls.
Okay, so were you standing outside, or did you go back into your apartment?
I went back in my apartment, but I left the door open. The doors close automatically, so I kind of wedged it open. I said, if you need anything, let us know.
So you went back into your apartment and you let Anna have privacy if she were to make
Yes.
any calls?
Correct.
Just make sure you let me finish my
Yes, sorry.
question, just so the woman in front of you can type everything down we both say. Okay, thank you. All right, at some point in time, did Anna return your phone to you that night?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any further conversation with her?
I think that's when she told me she was staying with her friend.
So when you saw that Anna left with a suitcase, about how much later was that?
Maybe an hour.
Did you leave your door open the whole time?
When I saw she left, I closed it.
Okay. So during that hour that you had a conversation with Anna and then she ultimately left, your door was open the whole time?
Yes.
And when she left with the suitcase, was the child with her?
Yes.
And no further interaction after she returned your phone to you?
That's correct.
All right. The next day, did you have an interaction with the defendant?
That's when I met Ali. He came knocking at my door.
What did he say?
He said he wanted to explain himself the night before and apologize for what had happened.
Did he discuss with you any violence that he has inflicted on his wife?
He told me that he was not hitting his wife. He said that he's not been violent towards his wife.
Did you believe him?
Benefit of the doubt. I told him regardless of if he's telling the truth or not, that he needs to probably back away from a relationship like that.
And did he specifically tell you about a time that he was violent with his wife?
Yes, he said that she accused him of beating her, and that she had photos of it, but he said that he just pushed her and she hit a fridge on accident with her face.
She hit her face into the fridge?
Yes.
Okay. Did the defendant tell you this that very next day?
Yes.
Or was it a separate conversation?
I believe that was the very next day.
Okay. So the defendant first told you he had not been violent with his wife,
Correct.
and then he did tell you he was violent with her?
Yes.
Okay. Did he tell you that that was the only time he had ever been violent with her, was pushing her into a refrigerator?
That's correct.
Did the defendant tell you that when he pushed Anna into the refrigerator, she was injured?
Yes. Bruised in the face.
I'm sorry?
Bruised in the face, and he said that there was a picture of it.
Did he show you a photo?
No, not that I remember.
And did you ask him if that was the only time that he was violent with her?
I didn't ask, but he said that. He stated that.
Did you ask him about what he had done the night before?
No, I didn't ask him specifically, but because he had already told me, he was already explaining to me that it was just a misunderstanding and that he's never hit his wife and that he would never hit his wife and he's not that kind of guy.
Okay, and did he tell you that that was the worst he had ever done, was push her into a refrigerator?
Correct.
Right, did the defendant tell you that that's what he did the night before, or was he telling you he did that on a prior occasion?
Prior occasion.
And so at that time when you were talking to him, did you get the sense that he wasn't being honest about what he did to Anna the night before?
Yes, I sensed that he wasn't being very honest. But I thought regardless, it's definitely a relationship that needs to end, and that's what I told him.
Okay, so you told the defendant that his relationship with Anna should end?
Yeah, that he should separate himself emotionally from that relationship.
What did the defendant tell you during that conversation about Anna wanting a divorce from him?
That she wanted to separate, move on with her life, and that he was trying to save the relationship and try to get them to be happy again.
Okay, and is that part of what your reason for telling him that they should separate, because Anna wanted to be separated?
He seemed very emotionally tied into what her decisions or what she was doing, and so I thought that, yeah, if they continued, and whether he's telling the truth or not, if she's trying to call the cops on him for domestic violence. Eventually he'll end up in prison, is what I told him.
Did the defendant tell you details about not wanting his wife to be with other men?
Yes.
What did he tell you in that regard?
He said that he was suspicious that she was out partying and cheating with other people, and he didn't like that.
Did he tell you that he wanted to always know where she went?
I didn't hear him say that specifically.
Describe the defendant's personality just in more detail in regards to his wife. Like, what kinds of things would he...
He was on edge. He was pretty paranoid about what was going on. They were going through some tough times, so he just seemed like he was really dealing with it and not doing a good job dealing with it.
Did he tell you to call him if you ever saw Anna with another man?
He did. He said, let me know if you ever see anybody come in, any guys come in and out of my apartment.
Was this that same conversation in September or a later one?
Different conversation.
Okay, so let's stick with the conversation the next day in September after this incident. Did the defendant tell you anything else about any other types of violence or anything else significant about his marriage?
Not that I recall.
But you just recall that the defendant told you that Anna was separated from him.
That she was looking to separate, and then he was looking to save the marriage.
Okay. And when was the next time that you talked with the defendant after that date?
I had some people over, and he saw from the balcony that I had some people over and asked if he could come over. And I said yes, and he did. He brought wine and just kind of hung out.
Okay, and what date was that?
I couldn't tell you, unfortunately.
Was that a special occasion for you?
I think it was one of my friend's birthday. It might have been mine. I think, September, so maybe my birthday, because my birthday's September 17th, so.
Okay, so your birthday's September 17th, and do you recall that year in 2021 you had friends over for your birthday that
Yes.
night?
I did.
Okay. So this next date that you talked to the defendant was September 17th.
Around that time.
Okay, and so the prior conversation, the first time you met him, was at some point prior to September 17th?
Yes.
All right, so the defendant came over to your apartment, and was he talking to you on that date about Anna being separated from him?
Yes, he did mention his relationship a little bit. Said that it bothered him that night that he didn't know where she was. Yeah.
Was the defendant making comments about your wife talking to other men at the party?
Yeah, my wife was on the couch talking to one of my good friends, and he asked me, he said, I don't know how you can be so calm. And I said, what do you mean? He said, your wife's there talking to another man, and you're just sitting here calm and collected. And I kind of chuckled and said, well, she's going to cheat, it's not going to be in front of me like this. No need to worry about that, And he said, I never thought of it that way.
So your wife was talking to another man who was your friend?
Yeah.
And you had no concerns she was with that man?
Yeah, no.
But the defendant had concerns that your wife was...
He was just kind of, it
Talking
seemed
to
like he
another-
was shocked that I was not upset by it.
Was there anything else that night on September 17th that the defendant said to you about Anna or his marriage?
He asked if he could borrow my phone because he wanted to call her and FaceTime her to see where she was at, to see if she would answer, and just get an idea of where she was at, who she was with. And I let him borrow my phone so that he can FaceTime her.
Did he?
Yes.
Did the defendant tell you why he didn't use his own phone to FaceTime Anna?
Because he was blocked or something in that regards.
Did it concern you that he was trying to contact his wife even though she had blocked him?
It concerned me more that he was trying to FaceTime someone from a stranger's phone. I don't answer FaceTimes from numbers I don't know, so I thought that was a little weird. I just thought, yeah, you can have my phone, but there's no way she's going to answer it.
Anything else happened that night that was concerning to you?
Yeah, when he called her, he didn't look at the phone at all. And when she didn't answer, he went back in the recents and deleted the number right away. And I thought then that maybe he was suspicious that I had already had her number in my phone.
Okay. Did you see him look in your phone,
Yes.
the contact list?
He looked at recent, saw her number, and deleted it right away. I thought that was a little weird.
Did you tell him you thought it was weird?
Not that day.
Anything else concerning that night that the defendant said to you?
No.
Now, had you, between the time that Anna came to your home, to the time that the defendant came to your birthday party, had you seen Anna at the home, at the apartment?
No.
Okay. So, was it your understanding that she had moved out?
I wasn't quite sure what was going on. But no, that was the first and last time I saw her was when I met her. The next time I saw her, she was deceased.
Okay. On September 17th, was Anna home that you could see?
I don't think she was home, no.
Okay. Did the defendant tell you she wasn't home with him?
I think they were living in separate places at the time.
Okay. You made a mention before that the defendant told you Anna was trying to leave him, but he was trying to stop it? Or what did you mean by that?
Seemed more like he was trying to save the marriage and wanted them to be happy again.
Right. And did he tell you that Anna did not want to be with him?
He was telling me that her actions was that way, yes. Demonstrating that she did not want to be with him and was kind of moving on with her life.
And did you offer any further advice to the defendant, knowing that he acknowledged that Anna was moving on with her life?
Yeah, it was what I said earlier. I told him that he should probably distance himself emotionally from her and that relationship and try to move on.
Right. Was there another date in September where you had contact with the defendant?
I think I've talked to him maybe once after that, but we didn't really talk that much.
Okay. Have you ever been to the defendant's apartment?
Yes.
Okay. What date was that, if you recall?
It's got to be after September 17th. So.
Okay. Was it sometime in September of 2021?
I believe so.
Okay. Describe that interaction with the defendant.
He invited me over to his apartment. I think he had a friend there at the time. We talked a little bit. That's when I mentioned that I thought it was weird about the FaceTime, what he did, and kind of just laughed it off. And he showed me a gun that he had. He told me that he had a license to carry and that he used to be in the military and that he had, I guess, some top secret clearance or something like that.
What color was the gun?
It seemed, from what I remember, kind of like a greenish tan, black.
Not sure.
It was a Glock, I think it was. Didn't have a safety on it, from what I remember.
Did not have a safety.
Yeah, Glocks don't have safeties, I don't think.
Did the defendant say anything to you about the gun?
Just that he had the license to carry it.
Had you ever seen any of the defendant's live posts or any of his social media posts?
He had shown me his page.
Right. Did any of those posts have him with a gun in it?
Yes.
You know how many?
How many posts that he had that had guns in
With
them?
a gun.
I don't know how many, but I'd say quite a few, and it was the same gun that he had showed me, from what I recall.
And was it the defendant showing you all of these posts, or did you look at any at a later point on your own?
I think at a later point I would look to see kind of what he did, because apparently he was pretty popular with it, but I didn't know prior who he was, so.
And when was that the last, I guess, interaction you had with the defendant until October 21st of 2021?
In between that time, he had called me, I think it was the Sunday before that week of what happened. And I didn't answer. He left me a quick voicemail, and I told him, texted him and said, hey, we'll catch up during the week. You know, I have work the next day. So I wasn't able to catch up with him until I saw him in the elevator.
All right, and besides what you've already testified to, what was your view of the defendant based on his conversations with you?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained.
When you saw the defendant with the gun, did you have any concerns that he was dangerous?
Yes, but I didn't know to what extent.
What made you think that way?
It seemed like he was just in a very emotional state with what was going on with his marriage. He seemed a little on edge and, you know, obviously paranoid. When he showed me the gun, it seemed like he knew how to handle it. So I wasn't nervous that day about that. So it's kind of a two-pointed question.
Okay, so you were just, he seemed dangerous and paranoid in general based on all your interactions with him?
Correct.
All right, I'd like to talk to you about October 21st, 2021. Where were you around 2 o'clock?
I was at lunch, a work lunch, with a colleague.
At some point, did you receive a call from your wife to come home?
I received texts, but it was already when I was on my way home, going up the elevator, and I didn't read them until I was already home.
Okay. Do you recall around what time you arrived back to the Spire building?
So 2:30, 3 o'clock.
And once you arrived in the building, where did you go?
I went up to my apartment from the garage, which is the 35th floor.
And when you got to the 35th floor, then did you go to your apartment?
I did.
What happened?
I opened the door, and my wife was there. She asked me if I received her texts or calls, and I said, no, I just got up. You must have texted me when I was in the elevator. There's not really good signal in that building. And she said that I heard 6 gunshots, and I think we need to call the cops.
What was her demeanor like?
She seemed very worried.
Right, and where did you go after that?
Prior to getting to my apartment, I had met with Ali in the elevator, and we had spoken. So I said, if he's still in the lobby, let me go down to see if I can talk to him before we call the cops on gunshots, because I didn't hear any gunshots. And that's when I went down to the lobby and I saw the police and thought that was, it was very serious what my wife was saying.
Okay.
Because I know she hadn't called the cops and I hadn't called the cops, so somebody else must have called the cops and heard the shots.
All right, I'm gonna show you a series of photographs now.
Okay.
Okay, you see in front of you People's Exhibit number 18?
Yes, I do.
What is shown here?
My apartment and his apartment.
Okay. On this photograph, is your apartment on the left or the right?
It's on the left, 3507.
Okay. So the apartment on the left is 3507, and is the apartment on the right 3508?
That's correct.
Okay. And so both your apartments are at the end of a hallway?
That's correct.
So when you testified earlier that Anna was speaking with you in the hallway, do you mean just that little area between both doors?
That's correct.
Okay. This is a fair and accurate depiction of how both your apartments, the doors appeared in September, October of 2021.
I think it's the exact same apartment, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. And then where on the door is the key, is the area where you would put the key fob to enter?
It's right above the door frame, the doorknob,
Okay.
the handle.
So on both apartments, there's a silver door handle, and then there's an area just directly above it
For
that's
the key
black?
fob. Yes, please, ma'am.
And then that's where you swipe a key fob to get in?
Yes, ma'am.
After you swipe the key fob to get into the apartment, does the door close automatically, or do you have to close it?
Closes automatically.
the page in the book in front of you? Is that People's Exhibit number 19?
That is,
Okay. What's shown here?
it looks like our apartment after the day.
Okay.
It looks like the hallway to our apartments after the day that happened.
So this was October 21st, 2021?
Yes, I believe so.
And how do you know that?
The police tape, there's some broken door on the floor, it seems.
Okay. The gray door that's on the left side of People's Exhibit 19, what is that?
That's the trash chute.
So the trash chute is directly, almost directly outside both of your apartments?
Very conveniently so, yes.
Okay. And there's a case of water in front of 3508. Do you remember that being there when you went back to your apartment that day?
No, I don't remember that being there, if I'm honest.
Okay. But you know that this was from the day of because of the yellow police
Because of the tape, and then we had, the door was breached, and so there's pieces of the doors in that hallway for a long time after. So I remember that.
All right. And then just flipping the next page to People's Exhibit number 20, what is shown here?
This is my door,
Right, this is the door to 3507.
correct?
Okay, and so the black oval above the door handle, that's the key fob area you were discussing,
Correct,
correct? And then is there a peephole on the door?
yes.
Okay, so what does that mean?
That means you can look through and see the peephole to see who's on the other side of the door.
Meaning when you're inside?
Yes, you have pretty good visibility to the whole hallway.
Okay. Then I'm going to jump to People's Exhibit number 62. Okay, what is shown here?
That is me and Ali in the elevator, I believe the day of, just by what I'm wearing.
Okay, so on October 21st, 2021, you recall that you were wearing that same red shirt?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. When you came home from the lunch, were you wearing a backpack?
Yes.
And what was the defendant wearing that day?
From what I remember, black shirt or hoodie and jeans and maybe white shoes.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the way both you and the defendant appeared
Yes.
on October 21st?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. And so, just looking at the time in the top, is it your understanding that you were on the elevator sometime after 3?
Yes.
Okay. So the timestamp on the elevator was behind real time,
Maybe.
right? To the best of your knowledge.
To the best of my knowledge.
Okay. When the defendant first gets on so you are coming from the lobby?
Yes.
Okay,
No,
so-
I was coming from the garage.
From the garage, my apologies. So in People 62, you're on the elevator, you get on in the parking garage, and then you ride the elevator up to the 35th floor? Okay. And then does the defendant get on the elevator?
Yeah, the elevator was going up still, and as soon as it opened, he was there in front of me, and then he came on, said hi to each other, and I believe that's exactly what this picture is right when he came on and we were saying hi to each other.
Okay. And you can see in this photograph the defendant smiling?
Yes, I believe so.
All right. So then this was your first elevator ride up after your lunch?
Correct.
With you chatting with the defendant for a little while in the elevator?
Just a little bit, yes.
And then did you stay on the elevator instead of getting off on 35?
Yes, I said, like I said earlier, he had called and left me a voicemail. I told him I'd get back to him when I wasn't able to. So this is the first time I saw him since that. And so I asked him if he had some time, I could just ride the elevator with him and try to catch up, see what's going on. Yep, so he came on the elevator and it went up instead of down. And that's when we were talking.
All right, and so the elevator went up to another level?
Yeah, I think it went up to like 37.
Did anyone else get on the elevator?
I don't remember. I think someone might have.
So initially, you're having a calm conversation with the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. You talked about leaving him a voicemail, and then was he responding to you?
No, I said that, sorry I couldn't get back to you. I have some time. I didn't have time this week. I have some time now if you want to chat what's going on. And I said, are you going to the lobby? I can just ride with you. He's like, no, it's okay. And I said, no, it's totally fine. I have some time. We can just chat. And I asked him what was going on. And he said that he was like, I just got to get out of here. And I said, what do you mean? Are you moving out finally? And he said, stop fucking asking me questions. And he had never spoken to me that way before. So I just hit my floor number. I didn't say another word, and I got off when the elevator went back down.
Okay. Did you see in the days prior to October 21st that Anna and Amira had moved back to the apartment?
Together? No, I don't think so.
Okay, and did you see the defendant in the couple days prior to October 21st?
No, I don't think he was staying there at the time. I think he was staying at a hotel. I think
Okay.
she was staying there.
How do you know that?
I just assuming, I guess.
Okay. At some point in time, did the defendant tell you that he moved out and Anna moved back in?
He might have said that, yeah.
Meaning,
It's been a
you
while.
knew that they were separated, so it was your understanding, at least in September, that the defendant was still living in the apartment 3508 and Anna and Amira had moved out, correct?
Yes.
That's
It seemed
what
like they switched.
Okay, so then they switched a couple days prior, and Anna and Amira were staying in the apartment across from you, and then the defendant was in a hotel.
Correct.
All right, and so you said that you rode the elevator up, you think 2 more floors, and then back down to 35, and then you got out?
Correct.
Okay. And then when you got out, is that when you went back to your apartment and first talked to your wife?
Correct.
When your wife Carolina was telling you about hearing gunshots, did you then leave your apartment and go back downstairs?
That's correct.
When you were in the elevator with the defendant, did he say anything to you about having just shot 2 people?
No.
Right, and you didn't know that at the time, right?
No, I had absolutely no idea.
So when you go back downstairs, do you go to the lobby?
I do.
And who do you see?
I see a good amount of cops with assault rifles. They looked like they were responding to gunshots. So that's when I considered that what my wife was saying was very real, and that her panic was real. And they were talking to people at the lobby, asking what floor, and they asked if anybody had a fob, and I said that I did. And then I asked if they were responding to gunshots, and they said yes. And I said, well, it's on my floor, so I can fob you up. And they hurried me into the elevator, and I fobbed them up. And that's when they got out to approach the apartment, and I had to stay back.
Okay. And were the police telling you to stay back from the investigation?
Yeah.
Okay. So where were you in particular? Did you wait in the hallway or somewhere else?
I waited in the hallway initially, and then they moved me into the stairwell, and then they moved Carolina out of the apartment into the stairwell.
Was there some period of time that went by where the officers were inside your apartment?
I don't believe so.
Okay. Were the officers using your apartment to set up a plan to enter 3508?
I don't think so. I think they were talking through the plan prior.
Okay, but you weren't there, so you didn't see what they were doing?
No.
Right? At some point in time, you met up with your wife in the stairwell?
Yes.
Okay. And were the police asking you both questions?
What do you mean? Can you rephrase?
Were the police trying to get a statement from you and your wife about what you had seen or heard that day?
Not prior to breaching the apartment.
Or after?
After, yes.
Were you trying to be helpful with the police investigation?
As much as I could, yes.
Did you tell the police or show the police the defendant's Instagram or social media?
So when they
posts?
breached the door, they saw Anna's body, and they saw another man's body, who I didn't recognize. They thought that it was potentially the person that shot her and then himself. So I said that that's not who you're looking for. That's not the owner of the apartment. And that's when I showed them the Instagram. And I
Okay.
said I just spoke to him, And they asked me
So-
what he was wearing, and from what I recall, I told him exactly what I could remember he was wearing.
Okay. You were able to see inside apartment 3508 at the bodies that were deceased?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you recognized the female
Yes, yes.
as?
Anna.
And you didn't recognize the male?
No.
And what color shirt was the male wearing?
I thought he was wearing a brown shirt, but as you look further, you realize that it was a white shirt that was soaked in blood, and it seemed like the blood had dried to brown, so it looked like a white and brown shirt that he was wearing.
Okay, and so, and where were the two bodies when you saw them?
On the couch, he was sitting. He was sitting on the couch, and she was leaned over. They were both sitting on the couch. She was leaned over on his lap.
So you were trying to help the officers find the people who were living there? Right?
Yes.
And based on the fact that you had just had a conversation with the defendant in the elevator, you knew he was dressed differently from the man on the couch?
Correct.
So you advised the officers about that to help them assist in finding the shooter, correct? All right, did you have any other involvement in helping the police that day?
No, and then later that night, the detective, came and interviewed me and asked me questions about what happened that day. That's the last time I interacted with him.
All right, thank you, nothing further.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
When you were speaking with the police officers, with the detectives about what happened in your interaction with Mr. Abulaban that day, you said that he had always previously been cordial with you, right?
Yes.
And that's why his statements to you in the elevator struck you as odd, right?
Yes, very much so.
So when you were taking the elevator up, you got to the 35th floor, and that's when he came onto the elevator, is that correct?
Correct.
And you told the police that he looked flustered and upset, correct?
Yes.
When he walked into the elevator, you asked him if everything was all right because you remembered that he had previously called you a couple days before, is that right?
Sunday.
And you asked him if he was all right,
Yes.
and he said, no, everything is to shit, correct?
That's what he said first initially.
And you asked him what he meant, and he said, I just gotta get the fuck out of here, right? Is that a yes?
Yes.
You asked if he was moving out, and he shouted, stop asking me fucking questions.
Yes. And then he said, I don't know why you followed me anyways.
And you told the police that he had never spoken to you like this before, is that correct?
Yeah. Prior to that, he's been very respectful and cordial, like I said.
Okay, so this was surprising to you?
Big shock.
I'm sorry?
It was a big shock to me, yes.
Okay. And then you said, well, hey, I'll ride the elevator down with you and we can chat a little bit, right?
Yes.
And that's when he said, no, I don't know why the fuck you are following me, just leave. Is that right?
Correct.
And then once the elevator, so it went up from 35 to 37, right?
He mistakenly got on. He was looking to go down, so it went up first, and then it went down. And as it went down, I hit my floor and got off. Didn't
Right.
say another word.
So the conversation, those things that he said to you and the appearance he had to you was between the floors of 35 and 37?
Yes.
Went down to 35, you got off, and he continued going down as far as you know. Is that right?
That's correct.
Your interactions with him previously were that he appeared to you that he was paranoid about his wife cheating on him, right?
Yes.
And that he told you, in fact, that he was suspicious that she was, right?
Correct.
Now, there are a couple of different days that you described to us. There was a day that Anna, you say, came to your door.
The day I met her, yes.
That's the first time you ever met her.
First and last time we talked.
And that was sometime in early September.
Correct.
You testified previously at a preliminary hearing in this matter. Do you recall that?
I do.
And you said then that you know it was before September 17th, correct?
Yes.
And September 17th is a date that sticks out to you because that's your birthday, right?
Correct.
So you know that Anna coming to your door, the first time you were meeting her was before September 17th. Is that right?
Correct.
When she came to your door that night, you were watching television,
I believe so, yeah.
and you heard a knock on your door. Is that right?
I believe so, yes. Yes.
And when you opened your door, Anna was not actually knocking on your door at that moment, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess she knocked and waited, so she wasn't knocking as I opened it.
You don't actually know who knocked on the door, correct?
I'm 99.9% sure it was her. As soon as she knocked, I got up and answered, and she was there, so.
You actually testified previously that when you opened your door, she was standing in the threshold of her door, right?
She was in between our doors, from
So
what I
you don't
remember.
know who knocked on your door, correct?
I don't understand what you mean by that question. There's the only persons in the hallway were us. There was no one else around, and it was pretty immediate after she knocked that I
Okay.
came to the door.
You just testified a few moments ago that when you opened the door, you saw the feet of somebody walking down the hallway, right?
Yes,
Okay. And that was after the knock, correct?
yes,
Okay. So my question to you is very simple. You did not see Anna knock on your door. Is that correct?
I did not see Anna knock on my door. That's correct.
Thank you. Now, you said that you saw feet walking down the hallway. Is that right?
I saw feet as it was turning the corner.
Okay. And you had never met Ali Abulaban before. Is that right?
Never.
And there are other people who live in this hallway.
There are other people who live in that hallway.
And you do not know, as you stand here and testify today, that those feet belong to Ali Abulaban on that night. Is that correct?
That's correct.
As you were sitting in your home watching television before the knock on your door, you did not hear any fighting coming from next door. Is that correct?
I would hear loud noises, but I wouldn't be able to attribute that to fighting. So I
The
guess
night,
what
that
you're
you-
saying is correct.
okay, hold on just a second. The night that you say there was a knock on your door, before the knock, you did not hear any fighting coming from the apartment across the way from you. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You testified that when when you opened your door and Anna was there, she said, "My husband's been beating me. I need to use your phone." Is that right?
That is correct.
Did she say what happened to her phone?
She said that he had taken her phone and ran off. And as she said that, she pointed down the hall, and that's when I looked, and I saw his ankles. Well, I assume it's his ankles. I saw someone's ankles.
The night that this happened, you say that you saw Anna leave her apartment with a suitcase and her child. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Was there anybody else with her?
No.
So she walked out of that apartment alone
Correct.
with her daughter.
I assume so, yeah.
Did you, while you had your door open, after Anna went back to her apartment, did you ever hear a man's voice or a woman's voice come into Anna's apartment?
No.
You described for us that Ali, when you went to Ali's house, he said on September 17th, and he was showing you a gun. You said that he was in an emotional state and on edge and paranoid. Is that right?
In general, I would say so. I wouldn't say when he was showing me the gun, or else I would remember that, because that would be a very dangerous situation if you're showing me a gun, paranoid and on edge at that moment. But
So when you say in general, what are you referring to with relation to the ways that you just described him?
well, he told me that he was going through a tough time, obviously, with his marriage. It was upsetting him a lot, and it was hard for him to deal with it. So in general, he seemed always a little on edge and paranoid. And he also was suspicious that his wife was cheating on him, so paranoid.
Okay, so this sort of emotional state, as you described it, was based on the conversation you had with him when he came to your door.
It was based on all the conversations I had, essentially, with him
Okay,
in
so let me,
general.
when he came to your door, after you say Anna came to your house, so the next day, that was the first time you met him,
Correct.
and he appeared in this emotional state then.
Not only then, but yes.
Please just listen to my question and answer it. He
I'm in.
appeared in an emotional state on that day, correct?
Yes.
And then when he came to your house for your birthday party, he appeared in an emotional state on that day, correct?
Yes.
And when you went to his house in September, he appeared in that emotional state on that day?
Yes.
And when you saw him in the elevator, he appeared in that same emotional state on that day, is that correct?
Yes.
Aside from those 4 times that you had conversations and saw Ali Abulaban, were there other times that you saw him or talked to him?
Not that I recall.
So those 4 times that you saw him, basically over the months of September and October, that is how he appeared to you.
Yes.
asked about whether you knew if Anna and Ali were separated in October, and you said that he was staying at a hotel. Do you remember saying that just a few minutes ago?
Yeah, I assumed that he was staying at a hotel because it didn't seem like he was at that apartment. It seemed like she was there, but I honestly don't know.
Okay. You said you never saw Anna again after the night she was at your house, right?
Correct.
Okay. So when you say you assumed that she was staying at the apartment, if you had never seen her again, what was that based on?
It's just not seeing. Whenever I came over to his apartment, he was there, and she wasn't. Could have been traveling. Could have been somewhere else. I don't recall if he told me or not if they weren't staying together. I just can't recall that.
So every time after that night that you saw Ali, he was at the apartment?
Up until October 21st.
Well, you don't know where he was staying on October 21st,
I guess you're right.
is
Yeah,
that
I
right?
don't know where he was staying.
Okay. So a lot of what, that information that you just told the jury about, that he was staying at a hotel, have you been watching the news about this case?
No, I try to very well stay away from what's going on here.
Okay, so where did you get the information that he was staying at a hotel?
Was he staying at a hotel?
You said that he was.
Assume so. I didn't think he was at the apartment.
Based on what?
Just not hearing from him, not seeing him in there at all.
You saw him on October 21st at the apartment,
Yes.
right?
Saw him leaving.
I'm sorry?
He was leaving. He was going down. Saw him then.
Okay, so what about that made you think he wasn't living at the apartment anymore?
He called me that Sunday, and he left me that voicemail. He didn't leave too many details of the voicemail, but when I texted him, from what I remember, it sounded like they had been fighting that day. So I guess it was my assumption that they weren't staying together. Because every time I've interacted with him, it's always been separate. They weren't together
Okay,
physically or staying together at the time.
I'm sorry?
They weren't together physically, and from my understanding, they weren't staying together in the same place at that time.
Okay, so this is all before September 17th, correct?
Correct.
And it was based on you being at the apartment once that you thought that they were not together? When you were discussing having all of these sort of heart-to-heart conversations with Ali about trying to save the marriage and what he was doing and that sort of thing, and that she was moving on and he wasn't, did you tell the police all of that?
I did.
Okay, and who did you tell that to?
A detective that interviewed me that night.
That was Detective Ilsen?
I believe so.
Okay, thank you. What you told us that Ali told you he had pushed his wife into the refrigerator and that her face was bruised. You did not tell the police about any face bruising, right?
I don't recall telling them that, no.
Okay, that's new as of today, right?
Maybe.
Thank you, nothing further.
Any other questions?
Yes, Your Honor. One moment. All right. When you were asked questions about whether or not you heard anything that night in September before Anna came over to your apartment, was your door closed and her door closed?
Yes.
Okay. You said you had the TV on?
Yes.
Okay. Could you necessarily hear anything coming from their apartment?
No.
Okay. And were you paying attention to whether or not there were noises or
I was not.
verbal arguments coming from their apartment?
No, I was not. I wasn't paying attention. I was just trying to enjoy my night, watching TV, go to
Right.
bed soon.
So there could have been noises from the apartment, you just didn't necessarily hear it.
Absolutely.
Right, and when you were interviewed by Detective Ilsen, you said you told him for were true, a lot of the details you're testifying to today, right?
Correct.
And you specifically told him that he said he's never hit his wife ever before, that the worst he's ever done is push her. He told me that one time he pushed her and she hit the fridge, and so she had bruising. So you did tell Detective Ilson that she had bruising. Okay.
Yeah, if it's there, then yes, I do.
Right, and so I can show this to you. This is a transcript of your interview with Detective Ilson. And I'm gonna show you page 14. It's at the bottom. Okay, if you could just read the last 3 lines to yourself.
This one?
Yes.
Yeah, he said
Just- Oh, just to yourself. Okay, so,
Yes, I did tell him that night.
yes, okay, so when the defense asked you, said you didn't tell the detective that, in fact you did.
Yes, I did.
Because it's right here in the transcript.
Correct. I was trying to be as helpful as I could that
Yes.
night.
Thank you. Okay, nothing further.
Just if, Ms. Brass, can I have a look at that page for just a
Yes.
second? please? Okay, my specific question to you was about your testimony on direct examination that she had bruising to her face. Do you remember that?
Do I remember the question? Do I remember the bruising to her face?
You testified on direct examination that Ali told you that Miss Anna Abulaban had bruising to her face after the fridge incident.
Correct.
All that?
Yes.
Okay. And then I asked you on cross-examination if you told the detective about bruising to her face, correct? And you said that you did not tell the detective that, right?
Correct.
And then Ms. Brass just showed you a piece of paper that shows your, basically the direct statements to the police officer, and you discussed bruising, but my question was about to her face, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And that is not in your testimony or your statement to the police, correct? You want to have a look at it?
You're saying specifically the bruising to her face is not in the transcript
Correct.
for that night?
Okay, do you want to have a look at
Please,
it?
yes. It's
Okay.
2 years ago, so.
Sure.
It says that she has bruising, but not to her face specifically.
So specifically, your testimony today, that you understood there was bruising to her face, was not something that you told the police when you spoke with them, correct?
It's in the transcript. So I did say that to the detective that night.
The question was bruising
To
to
the
her
face.
face, sir. Did you say that to the police when you spoke to them?
I guess not.
Okay. And have you been watching the news coverage on this case before coming in to testify today?
Not at all. Absolutely not.
Thank you.
They're trying to
Nothing
avoid
further.
it.
Mr. Sutter, you're testifying here truthfully today, right? To
Yes.
the best of your recollection.
To the best of my recollection.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll take our evening recess. Just to remind you, tomorrow went in all day, but we are dark Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then for the next few weeks after that, Monday through Friday, regular hours, all right? So thank you again for your attention again. Don't look at any social media, don't look at the news, don't talk to each other. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Thank you for being on time, too.